Well, hey, welcome to the show before the show, where I check to make sure everything is working. First with checking that we're live. I think that we are. Everyone, if you're looking at the screen at this very moment, well, get your fingers working, because you're going to need to go over to, on a separate page, go over to, by clicking the thumbnail for local game group, the community tab, as seen here. So when you go to anyone's homepage, it'll start you off on the homepage. You'll see an amazing banner. This one's pretty generic. An amazing banner and all of their selections. These are automatically generated by YouTube. But over in the community tab, we have, of course, the fate of the channel being determined here with my dumb grimace up on the screen here for this specific deck tech. So we're going to be brewing a list together in just a second, but we haven't decided which list we're brewing because I'm waiting on you to finish voting. This went up just a couple hours ago, already over 500 votes. I don't know who's in the lead. I haven't looked yet. So if you want to participate, you still have time during the show before the show. I'd say a good 5 minutes while I collect myself and relax before we get into this session. I hope you're all doing well. I have had such a whirlwind week. My soon-to-be father-in-law was here. So much fun playing trivia last night. We did some music trivia. I've been all over the city area, just running errands and doing multiple things. One for the wedding and then two for work. So I'm just glad I have time to sit down and relax. Hopefully I have time tomorrow to do another stream with you guys. It'll be a one-piece stream. Should be brewing Vivi Nefeltari, who I think can be competitive, but will take quite a bit of work. There are some people trying to solve that equation already. I'm always excited to be shared and see content for Vivi and OPTCG. Also, again, community tab. It's just called community if you want to participate in the poll. I'll refresh this page and we can look at it in a second. Lastly, I am so excited to cover Sorcery Contested Realm here on the channel. So let me backtrack a little bit. There's plenty of MTG Ambassador stuff coming, and I hope to continue along with that program. I love this game. It's why this channel exists in the first place. Doctor Who content coming soon. A wrap-up on Wilds of Eldraine with combos coming for the MTG Ambassador program, as well as another comedic short about how it feels to play black in MTG, which I hope you guys enjoy as much as you've been enjoying how it feels to play green. Surprised. And the white ones did really well as well. But yeah, there's a couple MTG Ambassador things coming your way. Will and I have talked through and worked through a lot of Doctor Who material. I just have not had a moment to film any of it, which is really frustrating. These live streams are the perfect opportunity for myself and Will and I to chat with you guys on the podcast. Although I think this Saturday I'm going to have to just work on other stuff instead of running the podcast. So maybe don't expect it then. I do want to get to Sorcery in a second and let you guys know what we're doing there. Willie says, finally, we'll be able to catch a live show for at least a few minutes. Willie, yeah, thank you for joining. If you have YouTube Premium, one, thank you for supporting the show because we actually get a cut of that, which is really cool. But two, you can have this running like a traditional podcast. You could, turn off your screen and have it running in the background. So I like to do that with other podcasts here on YouTube. If I'm engaged in whatever the content is, I'll be doing dishes or I'll be doing something around the house or I'll be working if it's something that I can actively listen to things and work at the same time. But that's a good way to do it. So hopefully you can do that. But if you can't stay the whole time, totally fine. EDH Senpai RM says, grats. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to say dad. My soon-to-be father-in-law, my dad, was here for a final walkthrough of the space. So we had an opportunity to revisit where our wedding venue is, see everything, talk with the caterer, talk with the florist, and we're getting married November 3rd. So you're going to see a ring on my hand soon. Excited for that. Sorry boys, off the market. I think like 99% of the audience here is male, at least as they've subscribed to YouTube. But very excited, very excited for that. It's been a long time coming. Me and my partner have been together for 10 years, over 10 years. So yeah, very much long time coming. Do you have any Rezug the Bone Cobbler? Rezug the Bone Cobbler. I don't even know. Are those words? Hold up. Are you just making up words? No, you're not. Alchemy. Dominaria. Target creature card in your graveyard perpetually becomes an artifact. You may cast that card this turn. No, if it was accessible outside of Alchemy Dominaria, I suppose I could, if we did, I know I talked about this before. I haven't looked into streaming through the MTG Ambassador program. I know they allot some amount of pointage or something to play to make it more accessible for brand ambassadors to showcase this game and obviously get you guys enthused about it. I would actually play Brawl on there if I knew anything about it, but I don't. Is Rezug something I can do though? Because I would totally do mono black Rezug and just try to, you know, yank people. It's historic, right? Like you can use any card that you have in your online roster. I have no idea. I would actually need to look that up. But that excites me. Sorry, you can't even see what I'm talking about. I'm so sorry. Here, this Rezug. I thought you were just saying words, Zach. I voted Yuriko. Duly noted. EDH Senpai says, funny both commanders looking fun. Helped a budget ninja last night. Helped a budget bro last night. Glad you're putting time back into your YouTube. Missed the brew QQ. Brew QQ. Mr. Brew QQs. What I don't know what QQs mean. But I do love doing these. I'm so excited to be able to do this again, and hopefully this is a constant thing. I mean, obviously, I would love for this to be a full-time job. Working on that. Okay, but it's not yet. And so Yuriko is someone that Will and I talked about. So I almost spilled the beans recently on a card from Doctor Who. It was not my spoiler. I don't have any spoilers this go around. I don't know if any of the MTG ambassadors do, or maybe someone volunteered to, but I was never reached out to regarding that. MTG Las Vegas was sort of like the big to-do over the last few weeks. So I was not there, sadly. Maybe next time I will be, or if there's enough interest in seeing me at events and playing against me, you can coerce your friendly MTG member. Someone had WotC to bring Pat, petition to bring Pat at the next event, because I just don't have the money to throw out plane tickets and accommodations, sadly. However, if I did, I would love to play with you guys more outside of our FNM series here. But Yuriko was something that we talked about, and it was for a specific card called Nanogen Conversion. And I'm pretty sure it's spoiled, or I would have just messed up. No, it's spoiled. Yeah, because the art was online. The art I grabbed specifically for our backdrop of the thumbnail is of Nanogen Conversion. So I actually own a copy of Yuriko now. This is something I've been thinking about brewing because of this card. It doesn't change the deck dynamic too much, but it will help to close out games. So if you're unfamiliar with this, we've got a whole... So like we did with the One Ring, when we felt like it would help shape the meta, we did a whole video series of legendaries, not necessarily deck text, but deck ideas, basics of deck construction, for you guys interested in potentially brewing list geared towards the One Ring. And if you've watched any of our FNM, our Friday Night Magic live streams every Friday here on the channel, you'll have noticed Will and I racking in some wins with mono blue and mono white. That is all I will say. Those are One Ring list that we actually talked about on the channel before it blew up as a staple in Commander. I'm proud to say that. This is something else that we have had scripted for weeks now, and I would like to say that I'm first on the scene again. This is a good card. This is potentially a CDH staple. It is something that you definitely should consider, but it's 3 generic and a blue, sorcery speed. Choose target creature you control. Each other creature becomes a copy of that creature until end of turn, except it isn't legendary. This includes your opponent's creatures. Oh, you my mummy. I don't know what this is from Doctor Who, but the card itself is fantastic. So think of situations where this could be single-sided. Obviously, you could use this in Shorikai as well. But with Yuriko, let's just say we have 4 creatures out, just a bunch of evasive bodies, whatever we're doing, token generation, whatever. He cast Beseech the Mirror. Is that the name of that new tutor? All right, I cast Beseech the Mirror because it's going to be in the list anyways, right? And I get Nanogen Conversion. Let's say I kick one of my old artifacts. I attack with all of my Yurikos. Remember, non-legendary. They all get to stick. Attack with all of my Yurikos. What if just one triggers? I've got these up now. What if just one Yuriko triggers? Well, whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top card of your library. That's 1 trigger, 2 trigger, 3 trigger, blue, black, Dimir trigger. You get a bunch of triggers off of one ninja making contact. If multiple ninjas make contact, guess who's dying that turn? All of your friends. It's horrible to say. Nanogen Conversion, though. We have a whole slew of legendaries that we feel will make this card bonkers. And I'm going to be producing a full-length video for you guys to check that out. Again, it's just deck ideas, but if we want to make Nanogen list, which I really want to do, then that's something we can do on the channel soon. But this is a new card that's just come out. It's one of many that are actually quite good from Doctor Who. I don't want to say anything else. I don't know what's officially been spoiled, but there are good legendaries. Surprise, surprise, there are good legendaries for CDH, as well as a handful of other staples. I think they just sent me my product. I wasn't here to receive it, but FedEx might be here. At any rate, there's a card in one of those that I really need for Oswald, and I'm very excited to share. And there's a ton of stuff for people that construct cubes. It goes outside of Commander here, or just, you know, Doctor Who fandom. There's a lot of really cool stuff from the set. We are not tasked as MTG ambassadors to discuss the set, so none of this is going to have to be supervised, I guess is what I'm saying. So as soon as I can get to this content, I want to ship it to you guys. Please do like and share all of that stuff if it's enjoyable, or we help to educate you on something that you might not have heard of. Goes a long way. It really does. And while I'm here, I guess during the show, before we start, if you can leave this video a like. If you enjoy the content here and have for a while, hitting this with a like does a whole lot to send this along to new potential viewers of the programming and helps me make this more consistent. It's nice to know that you guys enjoy watching this stuff. So, how does one vote? Because I have a CDH Shorikai deck, which I am brewing for a while now and would love to see your view on Shorikai. Sure. You can go to, let me just do this. You can go right back to LGG. So open up a new pane. Just hit the LGG thumbnail. It should be on this video. Like, if you go to YouTube and you go to this video that you're watching now, you can just hit local game group on a new, and then say open, right click it, open up to a new tab. Go to community page and you'll see just a bunch of votes on a 2-card poll. Like I said here in my other community post, this is deciding the fate of the channel. I am finally breaking my habit of not playing blue here and want to introduce a blue deck to my roster that will play on FNM. So one of them is looking a little bit more appealing than the other, just for me personally, from a brewing standpoint. I don't want to say which one that is, but I will actually vote on this too, just to see the results. I don't know the results. I'm on my own private account, but if you go here, you can actually vote. So that's how you can do it. Oh, dope! I didn't know that. I'm sorry, that was probably a while ago. I really appreciate you sharing your Oswald Fiddlebender list with me, and thank you for not going heavy stacks, Chris Kiger. You're welcome. You know, it's all been removed. I've taken so long to refine that deck and get it to where I'm happy with it now. And the One Ring, again, I think 23 cards, something like that, have been gutted and changed in the list. There's so much more interaction. There are so many more play lines to get to the One Ring. The most recent addition is a card called Patriarch's Seal, which just seemed like a redundant resource for the list that wouldn't see much play, like a dumb inclusion, but is so good. It's now one of my favorite 3-drops in the deck, and it's like this weird uncommon. It doesn't really have much strength outside of working in tandem with Oswald, sadly, but it's changed so much, and the deck is so consistent and fun and good. good. Knock on wood. I think it's really good. I think my success rate with it's been good. Not to be a braggadouche, not to tune my own flute, but I have a lot of fun with it. It's the list I play most often. It's the list I play probably all the time. So I would hope I do well with it, but definitely try it out. I know a lot of people have asked me to do a revised deck tech for it. I don't know how many people would actually really want to see that, but we can always talk about it when FNM comes up, or if you actually participate in the FNM, you can ask me about it. So on that note, guys, if you're watching now, Friday Night Magic is something that we've been doing. It's something that when I joined the MTG Ambassador program, that they wanted to help, support local businesses, and a bunch of stuff was relayed to us. But Friday Night Magic is one of those things that, they want to get people in touch with. Right. I don't know if I can share this marketing jargon with you, but I'm going to do it anyways. And for me, I feel the same way. Like, I feel I'm a little out of touch because my personal play groups, we sort of moved apart, or we don't always have time to play. So for me, Friday Night Magic, at least over the course of the pandemic, not to bring that up, had been just playing spell table games with people. So that gives us all the opportunity, whether we live in the same neighborhood or we live far apart, we can play games together here on the channel. So that's why we've been doing them. And I want them to be less guest centric. We've had a bunch of guests on. They're all lovely. Carlos from Kingdoms TV was just on recently. He was awesome. His pal was awesome. One of his co-hosts for that channel. That's lovely. I'm more interested in playing with you guys though. So really, like, I mean it. When there's a Friday Night Magic, I encourage you to show up. This Friday at 7 p.m., nothing's changed. I've tried to make sure that my schedule will allow for it. This Friday Night Magic is open to all players, so if you are interested in playing with myself and Will, it's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know what that is UTC for you guys in other countries, but if you can make out the math, please feel free to join, whether it's to vicariously play, just watch and talk with us, or you want to jump in with Spell Table. It's very easy to set up now with a cell phone and a decent overhead rig. I think even if you're on Mac, the newest software update allows you to use your webcam as like an overhead cam, or your cell phone plugged into your device, your desktop or your laptop as an overhead cam. I don't know how that magic works, but that's something you can look up, I'm sure. But yeah, you're more than welcome to join me and Will and get some games in. Otherwise, we might even do some random games. I haven't really wrapped my head around that one. But CDH, whatever you think's most competitive, I'm most interested in playing with you guys. So hopefully you can turn out. Last time we had a marathon stream, we were on for like 5+ hours. I didn't want to stop, but I think it sort of just ran its course at that point. So I'm happy to play as long as you want to play, and I hope to have one of these two legendaries that are on the thumbnail soon. Justin has some cards that will make up the majority of my blue, so I don't have that in my collection personally, and I don't have either of these two legends outside of Yuriko. I'm lying, in my collection personally. So yeah, after today we'll have a new blue list, and I won't just be playing Oswald, which is fun, but not just Oswald. Okay, let's see here. Yes, Historic Brawl, your old gameplay. Thank you, 99 old gameplay. Yeah, I miss doing it too. How did you become an MTG ambassador? They reached out, Willie. They reached out to have me on as part of their program. This is like their first official ambassador program in some time, or maybe the first ever. I don't know, but that was a big to do with this whole thing. What's cool is they give us product to not only see and experience first and make educated and informed opinions of, but they also help with a lot of the arena players. Again, I'm only really leveraging the perks of just being an ambassador in the sense that we get to see the product firsthand, and that's most exciting for me. So yeah, like I said, Doctor Who, we've known for a while. There's some good stuff in there. Let's see. Yes, Historic Brawl, turn cool creatures with static abilities into harder to remove artifacts like Platinum Angel, Angel of Suffering, Blood Artist. That sounds dumb. I like that. And maybe we do that. We met 2 times at Command Fest or Magic Fest. EDH Senpai says, well, I hope I meet you a 3rd time. Propaganda Nanogen conversion would be great in Nagila as well. Yes, that's one of the legendaries we're going to talk about. Not that Nagila needs anything to make her better, by the way. And also, while we're chatting here, feel free to vote. I'm sorry, we're going to start soon. I'm sorry, I'm just blabbing. Yuriko is awesome to build with, and it's totally fair and a non-salt inducing commander at all, says Willie. Sensing a little sarcasm. I think Yuriko should be fun. We'll see. How would you use it in Shorikai? I wouldn't really want to, because we give our opponents, you would need to crew it, mind you, right? And then it becomes a legendary artifact creature, and then all creatures become a copy of target creature, and we would be able to leverage it to just draw and discard a lot. I wouldn't say that it's like the best inclusion in Shorikai, Nanogen Conversion. And it's also a detriment because you're giving your opponents, you know, these 8/8 loot machines, which we don't necessarily want to do. Hey Pat, congrats to you and your partner. Nanogen Conversion seems sweet. Thank you, Angel. Nanogen Conversion seems sweet. I like both choices, but choose Shorikai. Love the content. Trying to get into CDH, but only have Jeweled Lotus in the of the rocks. That's awesome. That's a really good start, honestly. It's Jeweled Lotus, it makes for some of the best turn 1 plays, because in a lot of instances it means you're freeing up your resources for other plays on your turn, or just holding up interaction off turn if you feel like someone's going to have an explosive start. Sometimes I'll just use the Jeweled Lotus to put Oswald down, my main list, and I'll have a planes there to whatever. Like I'll exile something, I'll do whatever I want. Before it would have maybe been playing Grafdigger's Cage, but it's not a strategy anymore. What is your twiddle-hander for the purr? Boombox cards. It's actually, I do everything specific for the live streams on here in the community post tab. Also, if you want to participate in our FNM live stream this Friday, 7 p.m., I'll highly encourage you to join our Discord. I have left, if you go down the community post, it's weird. If you go down the community tab here on YouTube, you're going to find a post 2 days ago with a Discord link in the comments, and I'm just going to show you guys now. I don't pay for Discord Nitro or whatever. They've changed their policy before. You used to be able to have a Discord join link indefinitely, but now you need to pay for their service to allow for people to join the Discord. This is going to be up for 7 days, which is what's long enough for you all to join and participate. But you can see the link right there. You can go to Discord and just hang out for more updates on how that's going to run. Last time we befriended one another and we set up a voice chat between myself, Will, and the invited players and gamed just a lot of games. It was a really fun time, and the process in between, and getting people in the room, maybe a little time consuming, but we just chat in between, so I get to hang out. But yeah, go to the community post tab for that. I've started playing MTG recently, and I only have one deck, Joda. Seeing different decks, I fell in love with Shorikai. Yeah, we'll see if Shorikai is any good. I've heard a lot of good things about Shorikai. Does Nanogen completely copy the creature's name and everything, or just the name? No, the Nanogen conversion is a functional copy of the card, right? So choose target creature you control. Each other creature becomes a copy of that creature. So everything is functionally the same except that it isn't a legendary. So smart design choice here. Obviously, if this is being used in a commander precon, you want to get the most out of it. Making everything a copy of your commander in most instances, which is probably the game plan, a really amazing strategy. Really amazing strategy with particular legendaries. Is this on Discord? The poll isn't, but you can join the Discord through the link I mentioned. I would totally love to come play with y'all. I'm honestly not a CDH level player though. Yeah, Chris, it's fine. I say it's fine. I don't want anyone to have feel bads if we play together and someone or other gets stomped because their list lacks X amount of cards. I always feel like that is frustrating. There was a time where I just didn't understand the best strategies, or I didn't understand the best builds, and how important a Mox Diamond would be to a strategy, or a Chrome Mox would be to a strategy, or certain tutors or certain pieces of interaction. And it made for some feel bad moments when I was playing with some pals that were into CDH well before I was. I think that if anything, it could be an educational experience, and it should ultimately be fun. Like FNM is not about, I don't ever feel like I need to prove myself in this format. It's so swingy. There's so much variance. It's for the nature of the game has always been casual. So bring what you feel is most competitive and crack a beer if you drink. Have a fun time. That's what it's mostly about. And then for me, winning. I always want to win. I wanted to join in the games, but I was too late to join. Willie, yeah, hopefully not this Friday. again, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Is the ambassador program an invitation only, or you could probably reach out, Willie, if you make content in this space and they feel like it's of the caliber that'll bring people in. I don't know how they're critiquing my work. Hopefully they like it. I think the shorts I've done for them are very successful. My long form videos have been really bad here. They've just been bad performers on YouTube, and I don't know. Maybe I should pour money into this. That's usually how it works. If you see a video with a mess of views and like few likes and few interactions, well, that's why. But yeah, the shorts have been very successful for them and myself. So hopefully that continues to be the case and they like the content. Oh, interesting. That would be work with Red Silence Saga. Can I send you a Moxfield and have you look duck for FNM? If you're, thank you for the subscription, Alorsd. If you join the Discord, yeah, I think you can leave a link in I think it's called the Cauldron still. Hashtag the Cauldron. You can leave a link to any deck list there or the comments here afterwards. My Fiddlebender list isn't too bad. I have Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, Jeweled, there's a thing in the way, Jeweled Lotus and such. Just no reserve list cards. That's fine. Kind of regret having my Grim Monolith fully painted. It looks amazing, but I'm just worried one day someone's going to complain like, is that a real Grim Monolith? I'm like, yeah, please. I had gold border ones for a while and I bought like an authentic one. Way too much money, and I had it hand painted because I just saw Scourge Altars do a really awesome one and I had to have them do mine. But yeah, I just can't help but feel with some of my cards, especially the more expensive ones that I've like the reserve list that I have had altered, that someone's gonna say something. But yeah, it's don't feel bad if you don't have it, just proxy it. Really, you could literally just on a piece of paper. That's what I've been doing. If you've watched the FNMs for cards like what was it like last week, Soul Partition I did not physically have in Soul Partition. For a while I didn't have Soul Partition in, but Patriarch Seal and a few other cards have had just proxies in there. At any rate, before we jump into this, I did want to mention that we're going to be doing some Sorcery Contested Realm, back to that topic, content on here soon. So if you've been interested in that game, let me know. It's something that I have fell in love with almost instantaneously. It's one of the better TCGs I've played in a long time. I enjoy it quite a bit. Speaking of variants, within that first set of alpha, don't try to invest in any alpha product. It's way too expensive. There is beta coming out November 10th. You can pre-order some beta product from select local game stores. I'm not sure they're going with TCG Player anytime soon. I think even my local game store that I'm going, it's a comic store I'm going to, is a reserve and I need to do in-store pickup to get my boxes. But yeah, within the first set of beta, which is essentially the same thing as alpha, there are so many ways you can build for the avatars. It's essentially like Commander. You have, a legendary creature, in this case an avatar, that dictates how your decks are constructed. Except unlike Magic, which a lot of the same keywords are shared, just different names, right? Like the effects of keywords are shared. There's a kinetic action to the game. So you're building out a board full of sites on a 5x4 grid, and there is mobility of units. You can move these cards around, and that dictates a lot. There isn't as much instant speed interaction. You can intercept and defend things, but it's so good and so tactful and so smart, like such a good design. All right, very excited. Hopefully I can get gameplay with that for you, pre-recorded, fun with banter, all that stuff, not scripted, not just organic gameplay. I've been going pretty heavy into it, so we'll see. I need to find someone who's equally invested in going as hard competitively as I am, because I feel like I might have ruffled some feathers last time I played. But it's super fun, and I highly recommend you check it out. Goblin Firebug Doctor Who card, you board wipe, just brainstorming. I sent it in the Discord, Willie. I'm not on the Discord now, but we are on YouTube. Hi guys, I'm Patrick Marlette, your local game guy, and today we are going to be brewing for one of two legendaries. So it's either going to be Shorikai or Yuriko. And ladies first, we're gonna take a gander at Yuriko. Is it on screen? It's on the screen. Okay. Yuriko, the Tiger's Shadow. I'm going to pretend like we all know what these do, so I guess what we should do is just discuss basic strategy before I go over to our poll on YouTube. But she's a 3CMC ninja with Commander Ninjutsu. What's that mean? You have an activated ability for this card while it's in the command zone, and you're able to leverage it to replace her with a unblocked attacker. So in a lot of instances, that means running 1 CMC things with some form of evasion, replacing them with her, and then getting to draw. It's virtual draw, but it's better in the sense that you're not triggering any Orcish Bowmasters, okay? So you're revealing a card, and in the what's more department, outside of putting it in your hand, you are damaging people based off of how expensive Draco is to cast, right? So that's been a strategy I've seen some people employ, just having high CMC things, which is to say you're probably not on Ad Nauseam for this package. However, you are on PETA, potentially. It really depends. And I've not played against a Yuriko ever. I've always heard about this card. I've always been personally interested, but no one in my playgroup has ever made Yuriko. No one. So I would be coming at this very, very, like, with completely fresh eyes. I have no idea how one would do this. Scroll Rack comes to mind, maybe some top deck manipulation. If we're using top deck manipulation, I was thinking counterbalance, but maybe that's a little too sluggish. It's definitely like a mid-range grindy control list. The thing I really liked about it, though, is late game, all of those evasive attackers, right? You only really need one to get the most out of Yuriko, in my opinion, right? Getting her out there. And then any sort of copy effects. So maybe there's a ninja or two that can come into play and copy Yuriko, or any sort of clone flash that you can have come in as a copy of Yuriko, because if it avoids the legendary rule, mind you, because you can get as many triggers as you can potentially get. That's why Nanogen conversion really excites me. For her in particular, that's one reason why I really wanted to brew this list in recent date. I don't think it's going to drive up the prices of Yuriko, or anyone's going to get more excited for her because of it, but I do think that Nanogen conversion is a card that can very easily slot into Yuriko. So, and that's sight unseen. I think it's going to be a good card for the list. However, the other legendary that came up in a recent live stream was Shorikai Genesis Engine. So Will brought it to my attention, and then I realized how many people in the community really like this legendary artifact vehicle that looks like it's modeled after some sort of armored core mech. It's super cool. I had no idea that Shorikai Genesis Engine could be your commander existed, but it's an 8/8 for 2 and Azorius. Never thought I'd think about playing Azorius, but here we are. Legendary artifact vehicle. You can pay 1, tap it, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. Create a 1/1 colorless pilot creature token with this creature cruise vehicles as though its power were 2 or greater. So or greater, 2 greater, excuse me. So it's like a 3/1 virtually when it goes to crew a vehicle. So if you're doing the math here, you would need 3 total of these pilots to arm the mech, right? So it's not like you're going to get there super easily with just pilots, but the fact that you can do this, whether this thing is crewed or not, is actually quite good. So you can do this at instant speed. There's no limitation to how many times you can do this a turn, and you're going up a card every single time, you know, draw 2, discard 1. So it's a very good loot effect if you want to set up any sort of strategies in your graveyard. This isn't necessarily the color pie to do so, but you do have Savine's Reclamation and a few recursion tricks up your sleeve. I don't think we run Recommission or run too many effects that bring back artifacts and or enchantments from the graveyard to our hand, unless we were using utilities that effectively, you know, stacks out the game. I've seen people do polymorph humility builds, and more recently someone was telling me about a build that just used value creatures in general to close out the game, and ISO Rev loops to win with Nexus of Fate. So there's some really cool stuff you can do with Shorikai I would love to explore with you guys, and I think that this could be a really awesome commander to pilot. Pun intended. So that's where we are today. We're going to go ahead and see which of these 2 legendaries we're going to be building in just a second. I just want to re-roll this page for us. But let's see here. My favorite art for Yuriko is the APAC art. I love Gundam. I love Gundam too. 8th MS team. Probably my favorite. The fight with the blue Zaku in the city, where he freaking rips off his arm. So good. Getting goosebumps just thinking about it. God, what other ones? There's so many good Gundam series. I actually really liked Gundam Thunderbolt, I think was the mini series that came up recently. I say recently. A few years back. That one was really good too. Shorikai has been one of my funner CDH list I've built. Funner, you say, propaganda, so not necessarily your most competitive. Well, we can't have it then. No, I think it could be made super competitive and fun. My buddy has high power Shorikai deck. Rule 1 of Shorikai: never crew Shorikai, says Jonathan. You don't arm the mech. Okay. You know, why don't you want to hit someone for 8 damage? Why wouldn't you want to hit someone for 8 damage? I don't see, if it was vigilant, if Shorikai was vigilant, then I would say there's maybe an excuse to get in there and just do the commander damage, because I think for the most part, you're going to want to leverage the draw to discard. Am I mistaken? The other thing is, once you make this a creature, if you elect to crew this, you're inviting far more removal options at your opponent's disposal. So really not a good strategy, I don't think, for Shorikai, though that is something you can do should you want to. Again, if you make infinite pilots through ISO rev lines, I don't think you need the 8 damage. I think you would just attack with a million pilots, which is hilarious, by the way. Intruder Alarm is something that I've heard we could potentially use, right? That's another crew option. I pulled an Intruder Alarm from the most recent Wilds of Eldraine set, and it looks really cool. So part of me wants to run it here. But let's see which one you guys picked. I'm going to go with the audience here. I think Shorikai sounds really awesome. You rarely arm the mech, maybe an untapped trigger, but that's the only time you would do it. I'm going to say let's do Shorikai. I own a Yuriko, but let's vote Shorikai. Not that my one vote will change much. Okay, 68% say we should do Shorikai. 8th MS teams Shorikai division. Yeah, that might not even make sense, but we're gonna call it that. My Shorikai list. Okay, so if we make this and it's good, well, boy howdy, I might make it in paper, because I would really love to have another list to play with you guys in paper. It sucks that the extended art does not come in foil, but you know, we're just gonna have to suffer that. Now, whether we actually use Intruder Alarm or not, I am going to just put that art as the background for this one. I actually really like this art. We're going to put this art as the background for my build here. Okay. It's a prototype. It is a draft. It's not private. I'm going to ignore suggestions. Sorry, outside of you guys suggesting cards today, right now, we're going to ignore suggestions on this one. But yeah, that's really crazy. Shorikai is up there. I'm so surprised, like, because Yuriko has been a long-standing favorite from like a vocal minority, I guess, here on the channel. I've never heard anyone talk about Shorikai, so I'm just surprised that nearly 70% of the voters here want to see Shorikai. But that makes me happy, because I kind of want to do Shorikai too. So why don't we go over some of the top strategies that you find make their way into Shorikai, work best. Again, I've mentioned the Isochron Scepter loop. We don't have to do this, but I do think ISO Rev makes sense here. But basically, it's a 2CMC artifact that comes into play. You imprint it with an instant speed spell by exiling it, 2 or less from your hand. So it doesn't need to be dramatic reversal, but see why it is dramatic reversal. This is an oldie and a goldie and a fantastic one. I did not know there are only so few dramatic reversals, and this SLD one is clearly the one we need to play with, but it is $30. Ah, it sucks. What? I just can't believe dramatic reversal hasn't been reprinted. I remember when it came out in Kaladesh and how Isochron Scepter got a lot of love. You don't really see this line of play anymore, but I think that Isochron Scepter, it depends on the list, mind you. I don't personally see it amongst members in my play group. I have a sealed set of these promo Isochron Scepters, by the way. I bought it, the packets that the judges would get handed out to them, I believe. I have a set, I don't know how I stumbled upon it. I think it was like an eBay find of 4 of these in wrap that I've just been holding on to. So maybe we crack it, maybe I sell it and just buy a standard one, but we're going to do that in dramatic reversal. As I've mentioned, Dramatic Reversal works in tandem with this because it untaps all of your non-land permanents to include Shorikai and all of your rocks. And obviously, what do you do from there? You would leverage that to just mill your deck and make all of the mana. And one of the suggested cards for this strategy was Nexus of Fate, which is just awesome to use in Commander, because I know this broke other formats when it came out and was rather annoying because it was like a box topper exclusive kind of deal. I forget what the whole debacle was with Nexus of Fate, but Nexus of Fate was sort of the closer that was suggested by a fan of the show. And thank you again. I forget who suggested it, but thank you for this suggestion. If Nexus of Fate would be put into a graveyard from area, reveal Nexus of Fate and shuffle it into your its owner's library instead. So this could actually be, when you don't need it, this could be one of the things that you Shorikai away. And that's totally fine. You'll shuffle it by itself. It's not like some of the shuffle titans that shuffle your whole graveyard into your library. Although that is something you could do if you just want to loop for a win instead of taking an extra turn winning with 1,000 pilots, right? Which is what I was suggesting earlier. However, I don't like adding cards that aren't necessary to the overall strategy unless we think there's value adding a shuffle titan or something that will give our looters our loot effect more value by putting things back into our list or shuffling our list, provided we know what's, I'm thinking it's Yuriko for a second, provided we know what's coming, right, with any top deck manipulation. If we do just elect to run any, it could be cool to Shorikai shuffle our grave back into our list. Also just gives us more things too if we have like a spell seeker. Provided we need a counterspell we've used earlier in the game, we could shuffle titan things back. But as I was saying, that's also just another thing you can do. You can just loop your deck, make infinite mana, loop your deck, make infinite mana, and win by, I don't know, like Blue Sun Zenith, right? You could do anything at this point. But if we use like a Blue Sun Zenith, and what's cool about this is you can do target player with your infinite mana, post infinite, you deck yourself, shuffle this back in by itself. You deck yourself, shuffle this back in by itself. Again, the issue is you draw 2 and you discard 1. So we do want to make sure that we're giving ourselves a flush library to work with, because if this was the only thing in our library, we would die. We don't want that. There's also, I guess we could do this. I don't know. You guys tell me if this is just silly. Approach of the Second Sun was cast from your hand, and you've cast another spell named Approach of the Second Sun this game, you win the game. Otherwise, put Approach from the Second Sun into its owner's library 7th from the top, and you gain 7 life. So what's cool is that we could technically use, if you have fewer than 6 cards, you'll put Approach from the Second Sun at the bottom of your library. Otherwise, you'll lift the top 6 cards, yada, yada, yada. So what that means is, you know, we could do the same thing of putting Approach from the Second Sun, excuse me, into our deck and just winning with this outright. I kind of like that as a strategy because I've never done an Approach of the Second Sun line, and now I'm just trying to see if there's cool art for it, and there is. Okay, I kind of like this one the best, I'm not gonna lie. All of the Japanese arts, the Mystical Archive Japanese arts, are just the best. Ooh. Okay, so do you Shorikai players do this? Is this a good strategy? Let's talk. I'm sorry, I'm just blabbing. There are things I want to do. I know for a fact I want Isochron Scepter Dramatic Reversal in here. Maybe I want a Voltaic Key, and maybe I want a Manifold Key. That's as far as I've gotten. Okay. I turned Shorikai into a Voltron deck with a bunch of recursion, and it works. Maybe if you add an Intruder Alarm going to accrue your Shorikai. So like I said, I have an Intruder Alarm behind me. I am not absolutely certain that Intruder Alarm, and if you guys don't know what the Shuffle Titans are, please let me know. I'm operating on the assumption that you've seen like the Ulamog or the, oh my gosh, it starts with a K. It's the one I like. Pulled a copy of it recently. Kozilek. Jeez. I'm assuming you know what those are, but basically when they enter your library from anywhere, you shuffle your deck rather. Your graveyard, rather. You shuffle your graveyard into your library. Intruder Alarm is this card. I actually really like this Secret Lair as well, but I like both of these, so I'd probably just use the one I'd pull. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, untap all your creatures. Creatures don't untap during the controller's untap step. So this is good against certain decks where, you know, they're maybe getting pot shots off on you. Let's say it's just a renegade orc army, And that player, you know, isn't going to untap it with their own creature cast. So what's annoying though is that this trigger will automatically untap all creatures, right? So whenever a creature enters the battlefield, untap all creatures. So you could actually disrupt this if, you know, something's hit you. But in case no one is putting a new creature into play, right, we do this by ourselves. So obviously the play is, you know, we get to, if Shorikai is a creature, you need mana to do this, but provided you have mana going into this, you can just get a lot of looting done. You would, to do this infinitely, need a Myr, I guess. I don't know the mana generating creatures in Azorius, but I can think of the generic Myrs, and you could use them technically to go into Shorikai. I wouldn't say that that's my favorite strategy or playline, but it's something we could do. Humility is fine. So I could see us using Esper Sentinel, I can see us using Spellseeker, I can see us using Drannith Magistrate, I could see us using a bunch of stacks and value creatures that I would almost rather have than Humility. I get that Humility is like, this is the legendary you can run Humility with, you know, you have to do it. I don't know that I value Humility at 4 CMC more than I value just the plethora of amazing like rule of law creatures, stacks creatures. I don't know how much stacks or how much we actually want to incorporate, because I feel like this is a grindier game. I feel like this should be a control deck. We're not inherently getting anything else out of this outside of a body and a draw. So I feel like we should be holding down the fort up until we find the pieces to go on our own strategy. And so far as I'm concerned, the one card way to do that is so like we can get around a rule of law effect, is if we did Isochron Scepter Dramatic Reversal, that would pop a rule of law effect, right? Just on the initial cast, so we're dead. Maybe there's no rule of law on this list, but it doesn't get thwarted by Humility, so I guess there's still a case for Humility. Any other stacks we would use, it wouldn't be a Damping Sphere. And anything like, this wouldn't be the end of the world, I guess. But it's interesting because you put it on the stack. So like a Thorn of Amethyst or something, like any sort of tax effect, non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. You're using an activated ability to cast a spell with Isochron Scepter. So I would imagine that you do need to pay the tax on that. Let me see here. You may copy an exiled card. If you do, you may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Right, so you are putting it on the stack as a cast trigger. So you will need to pay the tax. If you have the requisite mana from Mana Rocks to do this, then you could probably get away with it. But I don't know which stacks we would really want to leverage here. Despite me saying that this should be a mid-range stacksy list, I'm not really sure what's going to work well with our own strategy. Approach is way too slow, having resolve 7 mana spell. So Jonathan, once we do Isochron Scepter Dramatic Reversal, I don't think 7 mana is too much. I think it's just enough. Like, I don't think it's going to be difficult to pay 7 mana once we have infinite mana. And it's another one of those cards where if it's in our hand, you just discard it. It doesn't matter. You just discard it. It's totally fine. Just put it right back, put it right in your graveyard. And if it goes away, then it's just a win condition that was lost. But I'm saying post infinite mana world, the 7 doesn't bother me. Otherwise, I guess it's just an ulterior win condition and we can put it under Chrome Mox. Obviously, you could just run Thassa's Oracle as well. It's largely unnecessary. It's not like we're in Dimir though, where we just have the 1-2 combo with Thassa's Oracle. We are trying to draw our deck or get to where she can scry and win the game, right? Which we could probably do easily enough. Backup holding is something I've considered for my Shorikai deck. I'm a little skeptical though. All the win cons of Shorikai require multiple spells, so I don't think Rule of Laws would work. I've come to that conclusion. Definitely would consider Rings of Bright Hearth, Basalt, or Grim Monolith. So Rings of Bright Hearth is interesting. When you do Rings of Bright Hearth with Basalt Monolith, you can make infinite generic mana. Bearing in mind that this doesn't do, we're not able to draw our deck with infinite generic alone. We would need a way to untap Shorikai. So I've actually already incorporated a card that post infinite generic will untap Shorikai indefinitely, which is Voltaic Key, right? So you would pay for Voltaic Key's effect targeting Shorikai. I would use Brings of Bright Hearth to generic to copy the effect targeting Voltaic Key. Voltaic Key untaps, Shorikai untaps. I have infinite generic. I'll do the same thing. Draw 2, discard 1. Use Voltaic Key and Rings of Bright Hearth. Is this something we want to do, gang? I'll put Rings of Bright Hearth in for now. I don't know that these... So Rings of Bright Hearth by itself with Shorikai, I'm not going to bring a Basalt Monolith. It's 3, you tap it for 3, you can untap it for 3. Is Rings of Bright Hearth by itself worth it in the deck? Is it worth duplicating Shorikai's effect for 2 generic? If we just have the opportunity. Also, do we want to run? So there's a case to be made for running the 1 ring here, which I'm just going to add, right? So we're dealing with an artifact commander. So do we want to go for all the utilities that leverage our artifact commander? Like, do we want Unwinding Clock? Do we want maybe even, I don't even mind Voltaic Servant. Do we want Voltaic Servant? At the beginning of your end step, untap target artifact. Like, could we leverage that for even more value? 2 CMC? It's not so bad. I would rather, again, you know, the Unwinding Clock. Did it go in? No. Hey. I would rather Unwinding Clock, right? Untap all your artifacts because you do need generic going into your turns. Also, if we're using artifact ramp, this is going to let us leverage not only Shorikai's effects, but give us any sort of colored mana we might be producing with our artifact ramp to stave off people off turn. So there's a good case to be made for Unwinding Clock. It's also expensive, but it's also good. And you know what's funny? We're actually in a part of the color pie. We're actually in a part of the color pie where we could use both Oswald Fiddlebender and Arkham Daxon if we wanted. If we wanted. So what's funny is that we could technically use Arkham on Shorikai if it was crude to get the 1 ring if we felt like doing that. But we could just use, I'm trying to see if these creatures are, they're not artifacts, but we could technically use Oswald to some good effect. Arkham does, he's a little funky with how he does it. So target artifact, creatures, controller sacrifices it. That player may search their library for a non-creature artifact. So there's a couple of things we can do here, but he's a build around card where Oswald is just gonna net you good utilities. There aren't any 5 CMC things we're trying to convert, so Shorikai's safe. If we use Oswald in the 99, I could see that being very, very effective here. So I actually don't even mind that idea. Call me crazy. I've got copies of Fiddlebender that just need to see list. Unwinding Clock is so much value. Yes, thank you. Unwinding Clock is huge. Draw 8 per turn cycle. Sounds good, right? So we definitely want Unwinding Clock. I think Oswald Fiddlebender that you can make a case for. I would say Enlightened Tutor. Let's go ahead and look up all of our tutors actually. And if there are any tutors that you think we should be leveraging, let's just get that out of the way now. So I want to get all the easy stuff out of the way. I want to get our tutors and I want to get our fast mana package. So hit me up with all your favorites. I'm just going to search library now because I, again, don't really play in these colors. So I don't know if there's any special Azorius search effects that we could be leveraging. So we're going to hit some that we know and love, and we're going to put those in as we go along. Urza's Saga. I'm off Urza's Saga in Oswald, and I'm not even sure it's good here. I would prefer not to have the colorless resource, but I'm going to put Urza's Saga in here because I think it could be of benefit for us. Again, don't really know if it's going to be great. We're going to put Mystical Tutor in. And I'll do the Ristic Study. I do want to pick this new one. Wait, where is it? We'll go with this one right here. I like this Wilds of Eldraine one. We'll go with the Ristic Study and we'll go with the Mystic Remora. They're kind of shoe-ins for any deck. They're just good turn 1 plays. Always. But yeah, Personal Tutor I think we could maybe put in here. I don't know any sorcery speed spells that are going to be hyper useful for us, but I'll put Personal Tutor in for now. And well, let me know. If there's a sorcery speed spell that we should just clearly leverage, let me know. I might have even mentioned one, but off the top of my head, I'm not coming with it. I do think that we should put Skull Clamp in the list. Anytime I see someone generating 1/1 bodies just because you're just getting 1/1 bodies as part of your strategy, yeah, I want Skull Clamp. I also want Steel Shaper's Gift, because I want to get to that Skull Clamp, and I want to draw even more cards, please. Thank you. Yeah, again, like you guys said, like, crewing is not mechanically something we care about, so we're going to do something else with those bodies. All right. Archive, I think Archivist Ogma is maybe a little Win Mori here. It's not really necessary for us. I think Tithe could be effective. I realize how expensive this card has gotten in recent date. I'm actually using Tithe in Oswald now. And I think Tithe here could be good just to flush out, you know, we crack a fetch land. We can use this to find some of our dual lands. However, we're only in 2 colors, so it's not like it's going to be difficult to get our shock and our traditional dual. And I don't really think we're using any of the... Are there dual lands that are dual colored? Like, are the fast lands dual typing? I forget, but I'm not really sure we're on them here. I could be wrong though. So maybe Tithe deserves a slot, but we'll put it on the side here. Let's go here. Oswald is just awesome. Clamp is clutch. Yeah. Yeah, let me know again if there are any other tutors or fast mana that you think work really well in this particular list. Let me know. You know, we could leverage the Bomberman combo here, but I don't think the Bomberman combo is great for this list. So you let me know. Is it something that you like to do? Let me know. I don't know if there's any auras that we're going to be leveraging. What is that one? What is that really clutch blue spell? It's a strip down, something down. I forget. Enlightened Tutors in. We definitely want to run that. Let me put Open the Armory on the sideboard. I think that Open the Armory might find its way into the list. Again, a redundancy of tutors is always good, but you don't need to go overboard. Reshape. So we're running a lot of really good artifacts, and I think that we should be considering our tutors to find them. So we'll do Reshape. Main board. Yep. Dress Down. Dress Down. I think Dress Down is probably worth it, right? I mean, is Dress Down not amazing tech? So this is an enchantment. See, I forgot. I'm like, is it also an aura? Like, does it target a creature, or is it you just putting it into play? We're going to run Dress Down anyways. I just want to put it in there because I think it's a good card. Pardon the fire truck. It just happens here. It's just a New York thing. Dress Down should have been a 40k card. A Space Marine removing his armor. Reshape, Whir of Invention. Thank you, thank you. I just did Reshape, and I'll do Whir of Invention now. Also, because we're making so many bodies, are there any Convoke cards that you guys like to leverage that you think would be good here? Like, I think something like a Clever Concealment could even be good. It's only for creatures, mind you, but if we are going with any sort of creature-based stacks, we can use all of our little pilots to help pay for Clever Concealment. Any number of target non-land permanents you control phase out. I'm sorry, it hits way more than I thought. So this is really good if someone's trying to pop, let's say we have the One Ring out and it has like 4 counters on it. We're clearly getting value out of it. We can use our creatures because I don't think the pilots are doing anything else in Shorikai. I'm pretty sure they're just standing there. But we can use our pilots who are colorless. Create a 1/1 colorless pilot. Oh, okay. Well, that sucks. It's gonna pay for the generic cost, but we're getting this down to white status. So maybe this is less effective than I thought. I really thought that those pilots were colored minimally. But if there's any Convokers that you can think of, let me know if there's anything of value in that sense. Still, I'm gonna go through our tutor suite. I don't think that Stoneforge Mystic makes sense. I'm sorry, I think she's really slow. She's really cool. She's a little slow, and I'm not sure that I need the body for anything. So I'm going to avoid that tutor. I do think we're going to get Transmute Artifacts in here. Smothering Tithe, you say. Aethersworn Canonist. I don't know if we want the... Let me know. I don't know if we want any of the Rule of Law effects. We're going to have to take a hard look at our stacks, but I'm not really feeling them personally. Teferi's Protection and Cyclonic Rift aren't bad suggestions. I think Cyclonic Rift still needs to be in a majority of lists that incorporate blue, so I'm going to go with you there. I think Teferi's Protection is maybe a little too high costed for me personally. I like Winds of Abandon to get around, like Winds of Abandon and Cyclonic Rift. I face a lot of Tivits, and I'm not going to lie to you, I think Tivit's really slow, and there's always an opportunity for me to get Cyclonic Rift or Winds of Abandon operable at Overload, right? So I like them because they just get around Tivit's Ward 3, and it's just a good way to remove that nonsense from the board. In most cases, they've got the mana to recast it, but it does slow things down a bit for them, so I don't mind doing that. In the instance of them finding a basic land is so, I don't care. If you have basics in your, 4 or 5 colored list, then you got other things to concern yourself with. Whenever Aerial Surveyor attacks, if defending player has more lands than you, Ranger Captain of Eos. I love Ranger Captain of Eos. Thank you for that suggestion. While I put this in the list, I'm just going to go ahead and put Esper Sentinel in the list. We could still do Humility. I understand that that is a basic strategy for this deck, so I'll put it on the sideboard. Again, we might just be leveraging control magic and not necessarily stacks. Out of Time is an amazing board wipe, quote unquote. Here, I'll look it up. I think Fabricate. I think we run Fabricate and maybe stop there. I don't know what's going on or why there are so many. So I'm down the street from the fire department, so I'm just glad that they're moving that way. Just really happy about that. Is there an intuition pile in Azorius that we should be considering, or is intuition strictly there for 3 free counter spells? Let me know. Whenever, can I do this without breaking my neck? Okay. Whenever Invasion of Theros enters the battlefield, search your library for an aura, god, or demigod card, reveal it and put it into your hand. Is anyone considering, do we do Heliod Ballista here? We've got better things to do, right? Do we have better things to do? I don't know. I don't know with this guy. I'm surprised I didn't see Spellseeker, by the way. It's really bugging me that it didn't show up. Am I crazy? She is 3 CMC? Why was I here thinking she was 2 CMC? We'll do Solve the Equation as well. Again, some of these higher costed ones will probably not make the cut, but I think for now, let's do Tinker. I think for now we're going to incorporate them though. There's nothing that finds... We need a 2 CMC, right? We need Tribute Mage for Isochron Scepter. We do, right? Reveal that card, put it into your hand, shuffle your library. You may search your library for an artifact card. Okay. Let's do Tribute Mage. Let's do Recruiter of the Guard. We'll find her, as well as some of our other utilities. I like that. I think that's the only one of those we need. And again, Arkham, we talked about briefly. I'm not sure it's entirely necessary for this list. I think the rest of these are fine. So let's go ahead and let's see here. Okay. Benny Brax could be good since you're most likely making tokens on your opponent's turn. So Benny Brax, is it B? Yeah, okay. Benny Brax, Convoke. Creatures, oh my God, 3 in a white? Hold up. Hold on. At the beginning of each end step, if you created a token this turn, draw a card. This is just good value. You're obviously not playing this out as quickly as some of your other draw utilities, right? Just by virtue of the fact of its cost. But if you hammer out Shorikai, Benny Brax hits the field very quickly. And we don't care about the CMC of our deck at all. We might use a copy effect by way of blue. Like we might use an Orset's Reversal or something like that. So if we cheated someone else's ad nauseum out, it could be diabolic for us, but this is amazing value. Like we are making tokens, again, we're just making tokens. So this, in my opinion, it might be like similar to Skull Clamp in value. It's also easy to cheat out. I actually kind of just want to look at Convoke cards really quick, if you guys want to humor me. I'm curious to see what there is. I don't really know all the Convokers in these colors, so let's see it. We don't need to organize these. Benny Brax is probably one of the better ones. Clever Concealment, again, is cute. I don't know if it's necessary. You may cast sorcery spells this turn as though they had flash. When you cast your next instant or sorcery spell, you may copy that spell twice. You may choose new targets for the copies. So complete the circuit might actually have play here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put complete the circuit. This is a good card. This is a very good card. So we can use this with any of our tutors. We can use this with any of our 2-hand tutors. How many 2-hand tutors are in these colors? We can use that to get like a 2-card combo out of our list. Unfortunately, there aren't many that work that aren't, you know, top of deck. So I don't really see us getting too much value in that sense. I will put Clever Concealment off to the side too. I think that they will be virtually free to extremely cheap, so I don't mind just having them there. I'm looking for the ones that have generic values, not necessarily the ones that have a lot of pips, like Everything Comes to Dust. Although, did someone mention this earlier? Exile all creature cards, except those that share a creature type with a creature that convoked the spell, all artifacts, and all enchantments. Wow, that's pretty nutty. I think that that's doable. I don't know if we want to do that, though. So we're going to avoid that. Hour of Reckoning. Hour of Reckoning. I can see, is that what the one was suggested earlier? I can see maybe why that was suggested. Isn't Born Upon a Wind less risky? Complete the circuit. Born Upon a Wind, a less risky complete the circuit. It's just a better complete the circuit. Technically. It's a better complete the circuit. We put Born Upon a Wind in the main deck. For sure. We might get to a state where we are able to win at instant speed. Right? Because it hits everything. It's not just... Sorry. It's not just our sorcery speed spells. Which is better. The next spell you cast has Convoke. You know, that's kind of cute, actually. You see this? This Wand of World Soul? It's slow. Don't get me wrong. It's a do-nothing, 3 CMC do-nothing artifact. But that's kind of a cool effect. I wish our creatures were white or blue or both. But I think they realized Shorikai was a lot of value to begin with. It's kind of lame that you're just making valueless creatures here. I'll actually look at the tokens for these pilots. Oh, that is sick. All is Forgiven. They look really freaking cool. Are there more pilots? Hold up. Wait, are there more pilots? No. Okay. I'm gonna drink some water. Feel free to make some suggestions in the audience as you're here. Talking for an hour straight. That'll do things to a man. Okay, Reality Chip. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. As long as Reality Chip is attached to a creature, you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. Reconfigure. Attached to target creature you control or unattached from a creature. Only at sorcery speed. Is there a major play with Reality Chip here? I think Mystic Reflection is such a sleeper pick in Shorikai. Mystic Reflection. Choose target non-legendary creature. The next time one or more creatures or planeswalkers enters the battlefield, they enter as a copy of the chosen creature. Are you suggesting you do this to mess up someone's play? Is that the idea? Like we just have them get pilots. I think that's super funny and really messed up. I'll put Mystic Reflection in. I actually really like that. That's pretty funny. All right, so what I want are... Give me counters. Or... tricks? So... we're near Halloween, so treat it like that. But yeah, Feel free to give me all of your favorite counter spells or all of your favorite combat tricks or tricks. Like this suggested spell, Mystic Reflection, actually not bad. I think that's hilarious. I think that's super funny because when the creature comes... Exactly. So you can mess up someone's play or copy a dockside. So when the creature comes into play, it will enter permanently as a pilot. I think that's hilarious. So instead of like removing, say, Tivit, as was suggested by Jonathan here, the traditional way, you can just go ahead and make that Tivit a pilot, and they can just keep a pilot. And just keep a pilot for as long as they have that pilot. That's really hilarious. But yeah, I would love to hear your favorite counters. Force of Will, Force of Negation, Pact of Negation, Fierce Guardianship. We want to do Swan Song, Dispel. It's the, what is it? Mental Misstep. We're going to do, keeps flying around the place. What is the, wait. I like Spell Snare. An offer you can refuse is always suggested, so I'm gonna just do an offer you can't refuse. I also want to do... Are there any cool, like, Azorius ones that I'm missing or not thinking of? Stern Scolding I'm gonna leave out. I don't think that we need to worry too much about creatures. Right, counter-target creature spell with... No, I think we should just go for some that are generically good, if anything. Oh no. We're gonna get some awkward shit here, aren't we? Counter-target artifact or enchant, we're not using it all. You know, Blue Elemental Blast, is that worth it? Is Blue Elemental Blast worth it? Let me know. Blue Elemental Blast and the other one. Mana Tithe. I think we're good on that. I don't think we're gonna use Mana Tithe. Is that... Well, wait. We might use Mana Drain. And the Mana Drain's good. I like Mana Drain. I think if we can use 2 blue spell, you're going to use Mana Drain. We'll use Flusterstorm. And I do want to put our lands in, by the way. I realize that I've neglected to use that. We you know what? We're going to avoid Mana Tithe, but we'll put in Force Spike. How about that? Keep it blue. Hydroblast. How do you feel about that? Muddle the Mixture can tutor up Isochron Scepter. You are absolutely right. I think Muddle the Mixture is fantastic here. So we will use that. Oops, sorry, jumped ahead. Just trying to see if there's any cool ones that we're missing here. Also, I wouldn't mind, that's actually kind of cool. So I like Light the Way quite a bit in Oswald, for fairly obvious reasons. But the creature vehicle, untap it, Light the Way is actually quite good at manipulating Shorikai multiple times. But a return target permanent you control to its owner's hand is also just a really good way of protecting something of ours. Like, you can also do this on a Mystic Remora. Let's say that our Mystic Remora count is really high. So trigger on the stack, you know, cumulative upkeep. Do you want to keep it? Like, you know what? Let's just bounce it to my hand and I'll reconsider that. I actually like Light the Way here quite a bit. I think that is a cool trick for the deck. So I'm going to put Light the Way in the list. You guys can yell at me later if you want me to take it out. I can understand. I think it's going to be really good though, personally. I also want to put in Mindbreak Trap. Mindbreak Trap. And maybe even a Gilded Drake as a trick. I think that Gilded Drake is fantastic. Still fantastic, especially in 2 colors. Also like Miscast. You can let me know if you think Miscast is not good enough. But I think it's quite good in the list that can run it. And 2 color control, I think, can run it. Nyx is kind of cool. Never seen anyone play that. Might be a reason why. Wouldn't Alchemist Retrieval be better than Light the Way? Doesn't untap Shorikai though. Alchemist Retrieval. I don't know what Alchemist Retrieval is. Spell Pierce is something that we need to run. Muddle the Mixture. Yep. Mana Tithe. Yep. We're looking into Stifle. Let me look at your suggested card in a second here, though, Alchemist Retrieval. I do want all of the utilities of the card to be playable, though, for the modes. So I think we're probably going to stick with the one that I put in. But let's go to the next page and I'll look at your suggested card. Here. Mist. Cleave. You may cast this spell for its cleave cost if you do remove the words in square brackets. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. No. No, I wouldn't say that's better. It's an option, though. You can definitely put it in the list. Light the Way is a slept-on card. I think it's quite good. If there are any other tricks or utilities that you want to put in the list, just let me know. There's one more blue spell I definitely want to add. Resculpt. Is it Resculpt? No. It's Resculpt. It's the Exile one. Exile target artifact or creature, its controller. Yeah, that's great. We want to use Resculpt. There's certain creatures we want to remove off the board. We're also going to use Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares. We've already added one of my favorites. We've got Chain of Vapor. We want some bounce in here. We have Psych Rift. We have the Winds of Abandon. I think we've got enough interaction in that sense. Maybe use a little bit more. You can answer that for me, though. You all know. If you play this list, let me know if I'm missing any core cards. I think Dovin's Veto's cool, but maybe not necessary. I'm not sure it's going to make the cut. I think that's it. We have all of the other free spells that I could think of that are higher that we wanted in the list. So, that's good. We have 54 cards. Let's add Mana Crypts, Mana Vaults. We're going to add Arcane Signets. We're going to add Soul Ring, Mox Diamond, Chrome, Mox, Diamond, Chrome, Mox. We're also going to add Mox Opal. I think we're going to have an easy time hitting in here. I actually really like Mox Amber here too. We do need colored mana when we go for the ISO Rev thing. Ultimately, we'll need colored mana. I think Mox Amber is just going to add to the list. Also, while we're, retrieving cards off the top of our library looting, we just want the Mox Amber to hit. Counterbalance I really like as a card. I'm not sure Counterbalance is worth it here as a counter spell, because we're not manipulating our top deck in any sense. So I do like Counterbalance as a card, though. I think it's hilarious to get free counters off of it. But we want Jeweled Lotus, Lotus Petal. Still not done with the fast mana. Sorry, guys. I don't think we're going to go up to Grim Monolith, but I do think that we can go for the Signet, the Azorius Signet. Maybe Felwar Stone as well. Not the Signet. We want the Talisman. Sorry. Talisman of... Name it, because we don't care about life. Talisman of Progress. You know what? I'm lying about Grim Monolith. We do go up to Grim Monolith because we just need it for our artifact combos here. Also, we just need these fast mana pieces to go into some of our larger artifact drops. So yeah, we do want the Talisman of Progress. We do want a Felwar Stone. I think we stop there with 2 CMC artifacts. Our artifacts aren't there for anything else outside of helping us control the game with mana. So I'm happy with those includes. I think that's probably all we want. Let me know if there's any other fast mana we're missing. I don't think there's anything of value, though. Let's do add blue. No. Add blue. I think there might be something fun we could do with that one. Let me see here. There is an artifact that lets us win the game. Say that. Okay, so yeah, let me know how this list is shaping up to you guys. Are there any core cards that you think we should be adding that I'm just neglecting? Also, so far as our lands are concerned, let me know what lands, utility lands specifically, that you would like to incorporate. I'm just putting in Otawara now. I'm also going to put in Soul Partition. Hold up. Soul Partition. I'm also going to put in Touch the Spirit Realm. These are cards that I think are integral to any list that can incorporate these colors. I think we need those ones in the deck. I also think that we could potentially use Solitude here. I'm not sure Solitude is a necessary play with as many just value-driven instant speed spells we have. We could probably avoid Solitude in this list, but that's also another one that I'm a little bit more keen on these days. Minamo as the land. Minamo School at Water's Edge, untapped target legendary permanent. I am going to agree with you, Jonathan. I think that Minamo is really good. We gotta school those new recruits, you know? Oh my god, I'm getting such Top Gun vibes just thinking of Minamo here. We should definitely do Minamo. Okay, that's what I'm saying. By the way, did you guys enjoy the new Top Gun if you watched it? I found it amazing. I enjoyed the heck out of it. Let's see here. There's a 3 CMC artifact that I think we can win the game with. It's this one. But before I get to that, what's Misleading Signpost do? Enters the battlefield during your declare attacker step. You may reselect the attackers. That's cute. Not necessarily for us though. But put an hour counter on Midnight Clock. At the beginning of each end step, put an hour counter on Midnight Clock. When the 12th hour counter is put on Midnight Clock, shuffle your hand in your graveyard into your library, then draw 7 cards. This is a little cute. Never mind. I think it is something we could actually do with infinite mana in turns, but we're getting there outside of this. We don't need that. Is Urza Lord High Artificer too cute for the deck? It's just another outlet for infinite mana, but again, we have infinite mana when we do Isochron Scepter loops. So our win right now is Thassa's Oracle, which is in the deck, and I do think that Nexus of Fate is another potential win for us, provided we get outed by our opponents. So Savine's Reclamation is going in there as well. Let me just save and continue out here. I think that Nexus of Fate makes a lot of sense with our Isochron Scepter loop. I think that Basalt Monolith makes a lot of sense with Rings of Bright Hearth. I don't know that we added Rings of Bright Hearth as a game plan here. We did. Okay, so I do think that we want to add Basalt Monolith. We just need ways to make infinite mana. And okay, so our wins right now are Isochron Scepter Dramatic Reversal into, let's talk about this really quick. Isochron Scepter Dramatic Reversal into our Legendary. Provided we are making infinite mana, all the fun stuff, we can go through our list and win the game. We need more than that. So that is a win just off the command zone and a board state that allows for it. That is a win technically. And we can actually just start this with generic mana, right? Because it's generic in cost for Isochron Scepter, generic in cost for our loot effect. That's not enough. We definitely need another combo line that's going to work with Shorikai to draw a deck. And I don't think it's Intruder Alarm, because we need a creature that taps for mana to make that effectively work. That's not going to do it for us. Okay. Hey, Pat, how late am I? Not too late. Kind of moving along. Inventor's Fair is nice as a land. I think that we could potentially incorporate it. The reveal artifact, put it into your hand, shuffle your library. I think that we could get here really quickly, but I think it's a little too sluggish. I don't know if it's a good land. It's good enough for us. The Extort with Blind Obedience is being suggested as an out. So yes, Extort on Blind Obedience is a potential way to end the game, but I don't think artifacts and creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. So the colored symbol is in a reminder text, so it doesn't matter to us. I'm looking for another combo to draw a deck with Shorikai. That's not Intruder Alarm necessarily, because I don't think Intruder Alarm's good enough. I think Isochron Scepter Dramatic Reversal is great, but that cannot be the only combo to get there in this list. We need something else. Unless we're cheesing out some sort of one ring combo here, which I don't think we're doing. Displacer Kitten. Okay. Extort Blind Obedience is an outlet. I think that I would rather just Thassa's Oracle or Nexus of Fate and win my next turn with all my pilots. Because Nexus of Fate is just a free discard for me. Whereas, what are we looking at? Extort with Blind Obedience, I think, is a good utility. I'm not sure how much stacks we're putting in the list, but I think if we do incorporate stacks, then yes, then this could be another outlet. Let's just put Blind Obedience main board. I don't know how good Blind Obedience is outside of stopping Dockside Treasures, though, if I'm being frank. I don't know how good of a card that is. When someone does an ad nauseum, then yes, it's going to thwart them, right? It's good enough. The creatures entering tapped doesn't matter to me. It doesn't really matter. The artifacts is still relevant, though. Yeah, okay. The One Ring is effectively a combo piece, as you know. Yeah. Buried Ruin. Buried Ruin. So Buried Ruin is just a generic tapping land, but you can break it to return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. This is useful in a pinch because we're not leveraging anything to... I will put Argivian Find in here, call me crazy. We've got Sabine's Reclamation, I know, but Argivian Find will be good enough, in my opinion, because it's going to help us get Isorcon Scepter back. If someone kills our commander, we can get our Jeweled Lotus back. It's going to give us any sort of utilities that we put there from the, you know, the battlefield. So Argivian Find is just an instant speed way of doing the same thing as that land is doing, but I don't know how many generic tapping lands I want in this list. We do need blue resources, right, for a lot of what we're doing. Return artifact or enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. That will be very good for getting a Mystic Remora late game back to our hand and starting the whole line again. I think it's a good card. Displace your kid whenever you cast a non-creature spell, exile up to one target non-land permanent you control, then return to the battlefield under its owner's control. So what we could do here is Storm. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, exile up to one target non-land permanent you control, then return that card to the battlefield. Displacer Kitten isn't really... What's the play line with Displacer Kitten? Give me the play line. It's Upsell Kiki Loops, I guess. Yeah, no offense. There are plays for that. But like the thing I see most is this when it comes to creatures entering the battlefield. Right? You may have its controller create a 1/1 white warrior creature token that's tapped and attacking. And to me, Blind Obedience reads as like do nothing to that strategy. And that's sort of the main one I see. But give me the Displacer Kitten route. What about Academy Ruins? I think Academy Ruins will be the better option here, by the way. Just put target artifact from graveyard on top of your library. Oh, actually, am I lying? I think the other one's better. I thought Academy Ruins did something else. Where? Oh, darn it. Where was it? Your suggestion? Where's your suggestion? Oh my gosh. Buried Ruins. You didn't miss too much Bloodblade to answer your question. Return. So we've got that and we've got Academy Ruins. So this is nice because you don't lose the land, but it is still generic tapping. This is nice because it puts it in your hand. The difference being not too much outside of losing a mana resource and then having a permanent that we can draw into instead of putting it into our hand. I think Academy Ruins could maybe be sideboarded. We don't have our lands yet, and we still need lands, mind you. You exile to Fairy, which bounces a mana positive rock. Are we talking about, you said 3 Fairy? Is this accurate? So 3 Fairy. You've likely seen this guy before. You've seen him on the channel. If you've watched our recent Friday Night Magics, you've seen 3 Fairy, Time Raveler. And I mean the most recent one. Each opponent can't cast spells unless it's sorcery speed. Sure. We probably add silence. I'm sorry. I realized I didn't add any of the silence effects. And we want silence and we want... You're not looking at the screen. We want silence and we also want... I'm sorry. I've been talking to you without showing you visual representations of the things we're talking about. But 3 Fairy and Displacer Kitten is great. We don't have good ways to find them. That's my issue with this setup that's being suggested. Not that it's bad. We're drawing cards. We will find them. I don't like playing Teferi Time. This gives people games as well. This will give people games unless you have all the answers, which I don't want to task myself with ever. I think Teferi Time Raveler is great, but you gotta be doing something amazing once you play this card. It's I don't want to say it's misplayed often. I think the pilot's a little overconfident when this hits the field. I don't like this Teferi though. I think it stunts a lot of games. I love it when it gives me the game, I don't like it when it's played and piloted improperly. But until your next turn, you may cast blah, 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 loops. Return up to one target artifact, creature, or enchantment to its owner's hand. Draw a card. So what you could do with Teferi Time Raveler is Teferi Time Raveler, -3, you have 1 loyalty left, and this is with Displacer Kitten in play. You'll bounce the Mox Amber to your hand, cast Mox Amber. I will use the Displacer Kitten to bounce Teferi. This is a new Teferi, -3. I can keep making mana of a given color, and then I can use this to ultimately post infinite mana, win the game. So yes, this does work, and I think Displacer Kitten is just a good storm utility in the list. I think that we could do this. Sure, I think the Displacer Kitten's fine. I don't, again, know that I love 3 fairy here unless you're super confident that you can hold the board down. But we're gonna go for it. Right now, we're on big face cam, can't see anything. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you. I only ever play him as the combo piece. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. We still need to put lands in this list, so let's just go ahead and put islands. We'll put plains. And let's just look up lands. I honestly don't know of the good blue utilities, and I don't remember my fetch lands because I'm just that player. I'm just that guy. I'm sorry. I don't remember the fetch lands. I play them. I can't be tasked with remembering them. Adakar Waste is good. I don't mind pain lands here. We could just use the colors. We will do Prismatic Vista. Prismatic. We'll do Prismatic Vista. We should have enough, we'll ultimately have enough tutorable plain basics. So we're going to do Ancient Tomb as well. Ancient Tomb. I also like City of Traders a lot. I know a lot of people don't run this card and they feel it's not worth it. I think it's fantastic, especially mid to late game. It's very, very good. Hullbreaker Horror also does the same thing. I think we could stick with Displacer Kitten. Spire of Industry only works if you control a artifact, right? And I think we will. If you have any tricks up your sleeve, any fun cards you want to incorporate, let me know. I'll end this poll though. Thank you for participating. Pay 1 life, add mana of any color, only if you control an artifact. Okay, cool. So we got Spire of Industry in there. We're just adding all of our fetch lands and all of our land base to the list. So I'm putting Arid Mesa in. Bad river. Not the Guild Gates. Hullbreaker Horror plus mana positive rocks is infinite mana. Oh, as like a one-shot combo? The spell can't be countered. Whenever you cast a spell, choose one of the following. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Ah, yes. Hullbreaker Horror. I can see why people do the polymorph build. I'm going to just put polymorph on the side to acknowledge the strategy. I think that polymorph and Hullbreaker Horror for infinite combo, or Tidespout Tyrant. Does Tidespout work in the same way? Whenever you cast a spell, return target permanent to its owner's hand. This one though, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So we'll do this, cast a spell, make infinite mana whenever you cast it. So cast trigger, you would need 2 mana positive rocks to do this. You make infinite mana, you'll turn your Shorikai into infinite draw. Whenever you cast a spell, return target permanent to its owner's hand. Okay, so same thing, 2 mana positive rocks, Tidespout Tyrant. I think that we could put Tidespout Tyrant and we can put them both into the list as utilities. I can understand why polymorph is the other utilized strategy here. Give me all of the polymorph utilities, or we can look into them in a second and we can incorporate that instead in a version of this list momentarily. Out of Time is a great board wipe as well. Let me look at Out of Time really quickly. I do want to build out our land base though after this. I think that Out of Time can be sideboarded for now. I'm not sure we need a board wipe for this list, but yes, I see what you're saying. It's a phase effect. So that's why you would want to incorporate this. I'm going to put it on the sideboard for now. I think this list is maybe slow enough to where we could get away with Out of Time though. Man, I really like mana positive rocks into that though. I think that's really smart. Cephalid Coliseum. I like Cephalid Coliseum. I'll put Cephalid Coliseum in here. Where? Do that. City of Ass. We got a lot of lands to go through. We're going to put Command Tower. Thanks for just chilling with me. Land, Minamo, School, at Water's Edge. We put that in there. And it untaps Shorikai. Yes, we did that. Out of Time is great. Yes. I like Out of Time quite a bit. I think it's a cool utility for this list. I think that it can definitely find a way into this list. I'm just not trying to wrap my brain around what we're going to cut for it right now. But when I ultimately make this, yes. Gets rid of opponents' commanders without them getting access to them again. And our commander isn't affected by Out of Time. Correct. It is very good for this list. I agree with you. I think Crystal Vein also finds its way into the list. Just looking for utility lands. Don't mind me. We're going to skip around here quite a bit. Iganjo is fine. I think it's a free include for the list. I don't know how often we're going to be... Well, actually, that's not true. Iganjo... It's not called Iganjo Castle. What is it? Iganjo Seat of the Empire. Oh, for every legendary creature you control. We're only going to we don't really have any legendary creatures, do we? Not really. Not actively participating. I think 3 CMC for that effect is a little too much, although it is technically free. Don't hate me. I'm not putting Iganjo in. Yes, I'm in podcast mode and you're in my ear. Sorry, Chris. Forgive me. Target opponent creates a colorless spirit token. I like giving blockers out to non-Tymna players. I could do Forbidden Orchard. Orchard. I'm very excited to play test this list once we get it built out. I do think that we are probably going to switch to manipulating a polymorph strategy in a second, though. I like that better. Despite the fact that we're missing out on some really good creatures, I think that I would rather have just run some of the basic silence effects, like the Orum's Chant. I don't know if we're going to run a bans. We're going to look into some of the other silence effects, like players can't cast spells effects in just a moment. But I did want to just get the rest of our cumulative upkeep, pay 2 life, sacrifice a land, comes into play, sacrifice a land. There's shenanigans with that. We're going to do Gemstone Caverns as well. Our list isn't that fast, but we are going to make it faster. Actually, I should say. We're going to get there. That's something we're doing. Don't like these pathway lands. Not going to lie, I don't think they're very good. I like Holdout Settlement here. We could actually use Holdout Settlement, and they're bad. These are very bad early game outside of the tokens we're generating. But you could technically use Holdout Settlement and the Encampment. I forget the full name of it. Prismatic Vista's in. We don't have all of our fetch lands, though. So I might actually just pull that up. We're going to do City of Brass. And Mana Confluence. Yes, very good. We're going to look up our... I just want to do this over here. Sorry, guys. So all lands, MTG. I never remember these, but I go to Mana the Gathering, or Mana Gathering, excuse me. And this is where I go to look up all these cards. So I'm just going to do all of our fetch lands really quick. I see one there. Yes. We're going to do... I might have put Arid Mesa in already. I did put Arid Mesa in already. Okay, so we're going to go with Flooded Strand. We're going to go with Polluted Delts. We're not going to put Wooded Footies. We're not going to put Bloodstained Mire. We are going to put Windswept Heath. And we're going to do Marsh Flats. Love the flats. I'm a flats fan. I'm into Wings. Or sorry, not Wings. The Drumstick, don't get me wrong. But the flats feel more rewarding. You know what I mean? We want Misty Rainforest. We want Scalding Tarn. And I think that's it. Yeah, because we got Arid Mesa. Cool. So we're also going to do a True Duels. And it's just going to be the one. Tundra. Heck, if I like this list enough, and Tundra's cheap, I'll buy it. I'd buy that for $1. And we got the Haloed Fountain. Cool. Love it. So good. What an amazing card. I'm going to save and continue. We might be over 100 here. We'll see. We are over 100. That's amazing. So let me go back to you guys. Prismatic Visit. By the way, you can run Thassa's Oracle in the Polymorph Vision. No, you can't. So we're going to take that out. I'm totally fine with that. I think Thassa's Oracle's bleh. Anyway, so fucker. Oh, I get one F word in this stream. I don't like Thassa's Oracle. This is awesome. I love the fact that we're not running Thassa's Oracle. I will put instead Intuition into the list. I think that there's an Intuition line we can build out here, and I'll tell you how in just a second. Intuition, love it. We're gonna run an Intuition. We're gonna take out all the creatures. We're gonna do Polymorph instead. I'm already sold. I would rather do Polymorph and just run Tidespout Tyrant and the other one. So yeah, Polymorph is in the deck. We're gonna take that out. Let's look up our Polymorph effects. Reveal, card, put, battlefield. That should do it. We might need to switch to instant or sorcery. We will need to switch to instant or sorcery. Reveal card, put battlefield. Okay, so, hey, they just revealed this. Cool. Time Lord regeneration. Whenever this creature dies, whenever a Time Lord you control dies. So this is not really useful for us, but it is a new card. I'm sorry, I think this might have been revealed earlier. So, nothing spoiled. You can instead run Jace Planeswalker, however. Shorikai Brew, I'm assuming? Yes. Gonna be running Mystic Sanctuary. I think we are. Did I put it in the list? Enter the battlefield, you may put a target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. I think we do. I don't think I put it in, so let's go ahead and add that now. We're gonna have plenty of space to play with in a second. I'm very, very, very excited to get to reducing this down. We're going to use all of the polymorph effects, so if you just know them offhand, let me know. I'm going to put Jace, what is it, Wielder of Mysteries? Is that the Labman one? I think this is it. We'll put this in the list as an alt win to the deck. I'm not sure we need that though, but I'll do it in a second. I know there are artifact one that does it. Yes, Proteus Staff is the artifact one that does it, and it should just be here. Guess not, because it doesn't show up with this. Put target creature card at the bottom of its owner's library. That creature is revealed as owner of a library into a review creature. Puts it on apply. Yes. So we'll do Proteus Staff. We're pivoting here pretty hard, guys. So if you've been following along the whole time, we're pivoting to a polymorph strategy. I think it's just better for this list. It's just better in my opinion. I know there's an artifact that does it. Yes, Proteus Staff and Polymorph are the two viable ones. Only ones if I'm not wrong. I don't think you're wrong. I just want to look at our other options because I would prefer to have more redundancy here if I can. So there is this. Excel target creature and opponent controls. Nope, don't want that. The controller of target artifact sacrifices then reveals cards on top of his or her library until it reveals an artifact. No, we don't want that. There is Reweave, Mass Polymorph, Telenym Performance. Target player reveals cards on top of his or her library until it reveals, he or she reveals a creature card. Target opponent, again, with the opponents. We don't like that. Exile all creatures you control, then reveal cards on the top of your library. I kind of like Mass Polymorph. I understand it's expensive, but that is kind of funny though. That's not bad. We just get both. The reason you would only maybe run Polymorph and Proteus Staff is that you need mana requisite to bounce the fast mana to do the thing off the Hullbreak Horror and the Tidesbound Tyrant. So we want to make sure that we can do this affordably. So Reweave, all of these probably not worth it. If we're on Polymorph, maybe Merchant Scroll might be worth it. I think also Personal Tutor is worth it. But let me look at Merchant Scroll. I think I put Merchant Scroll in the deck, actually. Merchant Scroll. I did not. Merchant Scroll and our Personal Tutor. So I'll do this. Let's go. Let's go ahead and save out and fix up our land base. I love tapped out. I'm going to do it again. I fucking hate how it messes up with its own cards suggested constantly. It's like, wait, the thing we told you is in the deck? That's not in the deck. So guys, if you've been following along this whole time, go to today's deck and you too can follow along with the list. I've just updated the live stream info for this. Let's go ahead and make our cuts. Give me 1 second. Okay, so let's do our cuts. We need to flush out our land base still too, because we need to hit threshold here. We're at 27, which might actually be enough. We want more basics though. I think we can go with 2 basics. We might just do 2 islands. 2 islands and 1 plains, actually. I do want at least 1 plains in here. And just leave it at 28 lands. We'll see if that's adequate. Teferi's cute. I think we take Teferi out. Okay, so we are at our threshold of lands where I'm happy. We don't have any MDFCs in here. I'm not sure the blue MDFC is good. Come to Moxfield, it's time. Chris, screw Moxfield. I'm not a fan of Moxfield at all. I like the appearance of tapped out still. I think that this is the perfect way to build list. Only if if I'm not wrong, Merchant Scroll. So we've got Merchant Scroll, I believe, in the deck now, right? It should be sorcery. Got Merchant Scroll and we got Personal Toots. Merchant Scroll reads, search your library for a blue instant card, reveal that card, put it into your hand. I think that's we should be on Merchant Scroll anyways. It's only instant though. Polymorph will be found by Personal Tutor. And we've got Seal Shaper's Gift for our Skull Clamp. We've got Transmute Artifact. I like Transmute Artifact. I like Reshape. I like Winds of Abandon. I like Solve the Equation enough. We need to cut all of our creatures though. Let's just start there. This is going to make life easier for us. So we might actually just hit our count by removing these, mind you. So Benny Brax is so sick. I'm not going to lie. We need to remove 1 card. Amazing. We're so good. Is that 2 little islands for Mystic Sanctuary? No, because it'll count our... excuse me. We're going for our Tundra and we're going for our Haloed Hall. What's it called? I don't give a damn about blue cards. Haloed Fountain first. We're going for those first. And we're not ever going to go for Mystic Sanctuary until we need Mystic Sanctuary. So whenever it enters the battlefield untapped, like if it's just in our hand, that sucks. What we'll probably do is discard it to Shorikai. Like it's just a dead card at that point. I never usually run... I'm not going to run it today either. I don't really like these. I don't like any form of tapped land. I don't. I see their utility, but I'm not into doing that to myself. If I can avoid it. Otawara is in the deck, even though I don't think that Otawara is going to see much play. At 4 CMC. That's just a lot. I would rather just go... you can incorporate Otawara in your list. I would rather just go with some more basics here. So I'm going to go... Just looking at our basic... we'll do 1 basic plains, and I think the rest will be... I know that the legendary lands, the channel lands are the free includes, but never say never, I guess. We can put 1 Otawara in. I'm not going to put Iganjo in. That's still out. You can incorporate Iganjo though. I think that it's still a free card. Mox Amber doesn't work with Shorikai. No, it did work though earlier with other stuff we were playing. But yeah, you're right. We don't need it. So we're going to go ahead and take Mox Amber out. And I think with that, though, we're good. I think with that, we're good, right? Wow. Taking out creatures. Just did the trick. Let's just look at our board, though. So, Polymorph, Sivian's Reclamation, Solve the Equation, Fabricate, Merchant Scroll, Reshape, Transmute Artifact, Winds of Abandon, Steel Shaper's Gift, Personal Tutor. Those are good. We've taken out Teferi. I don't really like Teferi here. I do like Jace. We have... Nexus of Fate as a way to close out the game once we have infinite mana. right? So we make all of the tokens and then we just Nexus of Fate and kill on next turn. That's fine. We can also win the game through Jace Wielder of Mystery. That's equally fine. I think we can put Jace in and take one card out to allow for this, and then we'll start play testing, okay? Worst case for Sanctuary is ditch to Shorikai. Best case. No, worst case is having the Sanctuary in my opening hand, and that's my only land, and a Jeweled Lotus. Because you know what that tells me? I need to ship this hand now. It's a dead hand. I would rather, unless there's other playables, right? But I want to get Shorikai out immediately. Where is Shorikai? I know Shorikai. Oh, they put Shorikai here. That's so weird. All right. But yeah, I need to know that I can cast my commander turn 1 with a Jeweled Lotus. And if I have a tapped land and it's a 4 CMC commander and it's my only land, like otherwise that hand would be considered playable, right? I don't like it at all. So I'm going to leave it out. I do think though that you can incorporate it, particularly because you're only in 2 colors, so you can get away with a tapped land. I just don't want to have to get away with a tapped land, personally. The counter suite could probably be updated. I don't know if I'm missing anything too vital. I don't play blue too often, but we're going to use Tezzeret the Seeker as an expensive tutor for artifacts directly onto the battlefield. You could do Tezzeret. I think that there might be a case for Tezzeret, sure. Is Tez two Z's? Yeah, it is. And speaking of the Seeker specifically, so untap 2 artifacts you control. This is actually really good with you just use it to grab the 1 ring really quick, or unwinding clock really quick. I think that I'm going to avoid Tezzeret for now, but I could see where you could slot Tezzeret in. So right now we have Polymorph into Hullbreaker Horror or Tidespout Tyrant. With 2 mana positive rocks, you can cycle through and make infinite mana and then go for your loot effect to win the game with either Jace Wielder of Mysteries or Jace Wielder of Mysteries, or you do the Nexus of Fate combo, right? You just make infinite tokens. You would need a way to shuffle your library, I think, or you just make enough tokens, enough 1/1s to beat face. So I like Nexus of Fate as like a backup win here without having to go for, which we can't, Labman, Thassa's Oracle, or something dumb like, I don't know what else Azorius would want to do outside of like Heliod Ballista line, which is something you could do. I think Nexus of Fate is a good backup to Jace Wielder of Mysteries. Although I gotta say, I think we might need something to shuffle our graveyard back into our library at that point. Am I mistaken? Is there not a good way to do that? Is there not a good way to do that just in the deck? I'm going to take Born Upon a Wind out. I think that this is a sorcery speed combo. I think that this is just a sorcery speed combo. So I don't think we need Born Upon a Wind. And that's just going to be okay. Let's just test out what we have. I'm very curious. I think you should consider it not as a land drop, but feel bad when drawing hands or drawing it. I'm gonna look at it as a land drop, sadly, because that's what it is. So if I again pull into it and it's just not playable turn 1, it's I don't know. When it's stuck in hand, yes, it's just something you can discard away, but with 28 lands, I think I'm using a higher land count than most people would suggest, and I still don't feel comfortable with that. So I'm gonna exclude that for now, but it's in the sideboard. There's a new Mana Rock spoiled that does it, 2 blue Mana Rock. That does what? Let me see here. Cause I know Doctor Who. I know the set. I don't remember the card though, so I'm gonna take your word. Let me know what it is if you remember the name, please. I'd be very curious. Let's go ahead and play test this, see if it's any good. This is my first crack. I'm definitely going to be updating this though. This is not keepable. No. Oh, we've got Blind Obedience as an outlet as well, I should say. So you can just win the game with that as well. Whenever you cast a spell, you may pay the extort cost. When you do, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Basically, you'll just weave that in with your Tidespout Tyrant combo. Or you use it with the Isertron Scepter Dramatic Reversal line. So we don't really need Nexus of Fate. We could probably take it out now that I'm thinking of it. I don't know what else we would want to put in. Oh, never mind. It requires Time Lord. Yeah. We looked at that. I wish it worked, though. I really do. I think that we'll take the Nexus of Fate out for... I don't know that we need Complete the Circuit. I don't know that we need Clever Concealment. I don't hate Out of Time, though, and I don't hate Humility. So let me just go for those real quick. I like Manifold Key, and I really like Voltaic Key here because they synergy well with just the other stuff in our deck. I don't think we need Basalt Monolith Playline, though. And I don't think we need Rings of Brighthearth. So we're going to take those out. I'm going to put Humility in. We need one more card. Oh my god. Why Winds of Abandon over Out of Time? It's not over it. Out of Time was a suggestion that came up later that we added. Or rather, that I actively acknowledged and we added. I think that Winds of Abandon is a fantastic spell that more people should be running, and you could run both. I think that both of these make sense in the list. Out of Time, probably better for this list. So let's add one more card. Isochron Scepter, imprinting, Mystical Tutor, and doing Nexus Fate combo that way? I guess it's still a lot of mana invested, but doable. No, you would just do Isochron Scepter, Dramatic Reversal. Is that what you're suggesting? No, Isochron Scepter, Dramatic Reversal, then you go through the list with your... Oh, Dig Through Time is a suggestion. Sorry. Then you go through the list using Shorikai. You make a mess of pilots, and then you Nexus of Fate to win on the next turn. You just draw into Nexus of Fate as your card because it shuffles back into your library. I think you're right about Dig Through Time. Give me 1 second. Let's read it really quick. Because this is one that lets you delve. Right. We did not add any delve effects. I think that Dig Through Time might be the one we use, though. Yeah. Yeah, it's the one we use. Okay. You could use Mystical Tutor. I guess you could. You would use I'm not immediately seeing the playline, but I believe you. I do believe you. All right, guys, let's go ahead and test this list out officially. Shorikai version 1.0. Let's go. Not necessarily unplayable, but not really playable. It's a little slow. You got the Out of Time thing that we all love. We got a Mystical Tutor, which is going to find Polymorph, right? We've got Soul Ring. We're missing a land drop. I would really love if we had, obviously, Mystic Ristic in this hand. We've got two decent early game counter spells and a fetch land. Let's just see what we pull off the top of curiosity. If I don't hit a land next turn, I'm just going to call it here. But I do think that this is okay. Obviously, if we had a 2CMC Rock, which we do run in this list, a couple of them, this would have been way better. I'm going to call it. This is bad. That's really bad. I'm sorry, did I hit a land yet? Right there. Okay. Yeah. Huh. Skull Clamp, couple of lands to include a Gemstone Caverns. This is playable. So, especially if we're off play. We're going to draw a card. I just ignore the fact that I need to do this luck counter business still. We're going to get rid of the... I still think that Cephalid is better. I just like the threshold effect on this card. I'm going to get rid of the Spire of Industry here to do this. Right, so that's in hand. Let's just pretend we need to do a miscast off turn. Why not? Right, so we draw into our Transmute Artifact. We're going to use, in Transmute Artifact, I need to read the rewording because it's a little schmucked up. It's a little schmucked up. Sacrifice an artifact if you do. It's basically the reshape or reshape. Search your library for an artifact. If its mana cost is less than or equal to the sacrifice mana, put it onto the battlefield. If it's greater, you may pay X the difference if you do put it onto the battlefield. Right. So cool. So you can tap the Soul Ring, break it with Transmute Artifact, and then leverage that to help pay the cost of whatever greater object you're putting onto the battlefield, which would probably be the One Ring here. But we have Shorikai. Almost turn one. We're going to do Marsh Flats. Get the Tundra. Pass. It's reshape, but reshape sacks as cost, right? So there's a little bit of a difference here. They're essentially the same thing though, except one's reserve list. Yeah, one is reserve list, and $250. So save yourself the trouble, folks. All right, next turn. Oh, wow. That's cool. I think we're going to go for the one that's giving us colored mana. We're going to tap the gemstone, the soul ring, and we'll tap here for, it's got to be colored. We're not tracking life, but that's Shorikai. Shorikai can use its effect. I almost feel like it would be greater to just put the skull clamp on the battlefield. So I will do that. We're just ass out at this point. Yes, draw 2 discard would have been really cool. I would just, I mean, I don't mind threatening the skull clamp and then having people remove that instead of Shorikai, because I would rather Shorikai just be on the battlefield. We don't have any form of interaction. We're hopefully going to have a lot of draw soon. Next turn. I think Unwinding Clock is technically what we would want to go for, by the way. Let's just threaten this first, though. I will use this and the Soul Ring. I think Rhystic Study is fine here. Let's go ahead and put the Rhystic Study on the stack. Is that good? Okay. Sorry. Dry lips. Really killing me. We could play it out the Skull Clamp on the first turn, though. I don't think so. I don't think I had Skull Clamp in my hand. I could be mistaken, though. I would have, though. If I had the option, I would have. Time will tell. Wind back the tape. So if that's good, I think we sort of just do Shorikai's thing and then Skull Clamp the thing and build out a flush hand. You could also make a case to start transmuting here. I would rather hold the transmute for when we have, well, hopefully, Dramatic Reversal in hand. And that just gives us the win. Right now is not the right time to transmute, though, so I will just use this for generic. I'll draw 2. I'll discard 1. It will be the Cephalid Colosseum. And we also get a pilot, which I'm promptly just going to eat right now. We don't have any form of interaction, so I'd rather just eat the pilot, draw 2 cards. Okay, still no interaction, but we have Polymorph. Okay, next turn. If we were looking at our board, we have mana positive rocks now, but Mox Diamond's not going to work the way we need it to with Hullbreak Horror. However, we can make infinite pilots here. Am I wrong? No, we can't. We can't make shit, because we're going to make 2 generic, Polymorph, Hullbreak Horror, or this is not a win. This is not a win yet. We just have the ability to recast Soul Ring and recast Skull Clamp, which is Infinite Storm. That's nice. I think Transmute Artifact needs to kill our Skull Clamp, and then we just get a mana positive rock that does work in this situation. Because we can play Mox Diamond out. We can actually just play Mox Diamond out too. That's actually really clean. So if we play Mox Diamond out and ditch the command tower, I know, crazy, we're able to use Mox Diamond to help pay for Transmute Artifact to find a separate, like, I don't know, maybe you get Mox Opal at this point, or you would get, let's just say Mox Opal at this point, because we're always going to have the 3 artifacts in play. So you do that, and then do we have enough mana requisite to do all of this? We might not. Give me 1 second. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. We need a Polymorph, which is 4. It's a 6 if we do this. If we transmute, it's 1, 2. And then we have 4 for Polymorph still. The only issue is we're not casting anything into this, so we don't have the play line. I think we need to do the Hullbreak Horror first, but we don't have a pilot. So there's no... This is asking a lot. I think what we need to do is just see what we pull into here. So we're going to float 1 generic. I'm going to make a pilot. I will actually make the token this time. I'll draw 2, discard 1. I need another land. Thank God. Okay. So we're going to get rid of the Mystic Reflection here. I still think that the rocks are going to be more integral moving forward. Mystic Reflection, less valuable unless someone tries to Orcish Bowmaster the pilot, but we're going to get rid of the pilot now. So we've got 1 mana floating. I'm going to put Command Tower in play. I'm going to cast the Mox Diamond. I'm going to get rid of the island. I'm going to go ahead and Polymorph. Oh, sorry. That needs to happen later. We're going to Polymorph generic, generic, 2, 3. If this is good, we polymorph the pilot until we hit, I'm just gonna tutor one of these. Let's just say it's Hullbreaker Horror. It could be Tidespout Tyrant or Hullbreaker Horror. We shuffle our library, right? So destroy target creature, it can be regenerated, reveals cards, and something like that. Put a card on the battlefield, shuffles it, reveal this way. Okay, cool. Hullbreaker Horror. So why this is important is because we need to do Mox Diamond, discarding this. Hullbreaker Horror is going to give us this trigger. If someone's saying a better way to do this, let me know. Transmute Skull Clamp, get Mana Vault, Polymorph Mana Vault. Oh, you could do that too. I did talk through this in my head and aloud with you guys. There might have been a better play. I'm trying to keep the Skull Clamp around though, because it's just an alternative way to draw cards. It's not necessary. We've got the Heuristics Study to help us here, hopefully draw into free counter spells, whatever. But more importantly, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So we're going to do this with the Soul Ring. Now we've got the Mox Diamond and the Command Tower. This is just the same way of doing the same thing, basically. So we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We can do the Mana Vault, but that's colorless mana. However, we are going to ultimately loot with Shorikai, so it does work, right? Return on its owner's hand. No, we definitely want colored mana. We definitely want colored mana if it is Hullbreaker Horror, though. Because return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand, or return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So in this instance, I think we definitely want colored mana, even with Tidespout Tyrant. So we're going to use these two to play out Transmute Artifacts, a Mox Opal, like I said earlier. Okay, so we're going to tap this for a blue. Let's tap it for a black. Tap it for a black, right? Any color? Cool. We'll make Soul Ring, put the Mox Opal to hand. Make 2 generic. Okay, so we're going to do this. I'll start tapping it for a blue now. We're going to bounce the Soul Ring to hand, Soul Ring. Okay, so ultimately we're going to make infinite colorless and infinite blue and white mana, right? So in doing this, we're going to play... we do have the Felwar Stone in hand, sure. Yeah. But we do need mana positive rocks to get the ball rolling. Color fixing can happen by way of Felwar Stone. So yes, you could technically use Mana Vault, Soul Ring. We were low on mana though, so I was trying to use our mana deficiency, get to there, using our mana deficiency. I think using this to get the colored mana is integral though, because we do need that to recast Shorikai and use Shorikai's effect. Hey, haven't been on the channel for a while. Why did you change your name from the 99? Says Lord Vojdis. Well, because we're going to be covering sorcery, contested realms, and more One Piece moving into the future alongside Magic the Gathering. So it's not just MTG anymore. All right, let's keep doing the thing. We just recast both these things until we have infinite mana. On the Mox Opal cast, I'll put Shorikai in hand. It was tapped. I'll cast Shorikai. Again, we have post infinite mana. We'll put Mox Opal in hand, and we'll just start drawing deck. Right, so draw 2, discard 1. I will encourage you to go through this whole process. But what we're going to do is draw and discard until we hit... Well, there's Blind Obedience. I'll cast Blind Obedience. If this resolves, this is the win here. I'm going to just keep casting and recasting cards and using infinite mana to pay for Blind Obedience. This is why I chose to make white mana. It's important for the extort. Again, if we somehow aren't able to, keep this alive, if someone waited for this point to interact and we're not able to keep it alive, we'll just keep doing this until we hit our Jace. Right? And once we play Jace out, we can use his ability to +1, target player puts top 2 cards of the library into their graveyard, draw a card, right? So we wouldn't have any cards at this point, but we would win if you would go to draw a card and there's no cards in your library. Cool? Hey, next try. This was okay. This worked. Again, I've never gone for these Hullbreaker Horror lines, polymorph. If my logic there was flawed or there was an easier way to do it, that's okay. It will come out in the wash and you will likely know how to do this better after you've also piloted this a billion times. But this is a weird start. I don't like having Hullbreaker Horror in my hand. I do like the Skull Clamp and the Isochron Scepter though. However, those are good. What's also cool if you do the Hullbreaker horror business is that you can double down on the Isochron lines by bouncing Isochron Scepter to your hand and replaying it when you have the utilities you want for it. Although that's a little, at that point you should be winning, so I'm not too concerned about it. Soul Ring plus 0 cost artifact is enough for colorless. Fellow Stone would give you the blue. Right. Transmute was not needed. Carl, you know what? It's what we did. You know why? Because I don't think we couldn't make infinite mana. We couldn't have made infinite mana. No, the transmute was necessary. Because if we would need mana positive rocks, and we ultimately need colored mana. So we would need to transmute the Skull Clamp for a mana vault to make infinite colorless, and then make infinite color with Felwar Stone, or we would need a 0 CMC rock that was making colored mana to just play directly into the play lines I was trying to manipulate for. There was no way we could, and we can roll back the tape. I don't think it matters, but I think the transmute artifact was necessary. Pretty sure. Because Felwar Stone, yes, while it's color fixing, it's 2 for 1. It would not have worked with the mana we had in our pool at that point. This is a really cool hand. Can you see why I don't like it? We have so much draw. We have good removal. We have our dig through time for when we get the ball rolling on our commander here. If we don't draw a land, which we could do with our commander, this could really suck. Though we do have a turn 1 Shorikai, and we ultimately will have the One Ring and Rhystic Study to play into. There's a lot here I like. I kind of wish that almost what this hand is really missing is more fast mana, but and permanent fast mana. But we're gonna test this out. Okay. Enlightened Tutor. Hey, look, we're gonna get the fast mana anyways. Cool. So we'll do Jeweled Lotus into Shorikai. Cool. Let's just say it was for white. We'll tap for the blue. Okay. So next turn, untap. So we could use the Enlightened Tutor now to get the mana crypts to our hand. This does shut us off for the turn, but we do have Shorikai to draw 2, discard 1. So I think we do Enlightened Tutor before our draw here. We get the mana crypts. It's the best mana positive rock in the situation, and we'll put this on top. We'll draw it for turn. I will play it, tap it. I'll float 1, and we'll draw 2, discard 1. Okay, so we actually pulled a really good land here, but we're not able to leverage it to its full extent because clearly we want to get the One Ring out. Balin's Tomb will be played. We do need to discard down though, and I think at this moment I am liking Winds of Abandon the least. So I'll put that away. We don't have the blue resources for this. We don't have any playables in our hand. We'll move forward. What are your thoughts on Barbed Sextant? I'm sorry, I don't know what Barbed Sextant is. Barb Sex. Sacrifice, it's color fixing, draw beginning. It's just color fixing. It's cool though. I think if you're using a lot of delve in your strategy, it's good. In the draw, I'm fine on Barb Sextant. I wouldn't incorporate it in this particular list, William. All right, turn 3? Technically turn 3 coming up. Let me just shuffle again. I forget if I even did that. All right, so we got a Gemstone Caverns. That sucks. I would really like to not have Gemstone Caverns in my hand. We're not tracking life here because it's not relevant to us, but we could die from life. Let's just draw 2 cards. I will get rid of... I hate that that's our land draw per turn. So this is fine. We'll get rid of... I almost feel like Dig Through Time is losing value here. We want to put the Rhystic Study out and hold interaction minimally, but we don't have colored mana. So it's really just going to be, it's probably going to be the generic resources into the One Ring instead of Rhystic Study, although Rhystic Study would probably accumulate more draw. And I think we hold the offer we can't refuse moving forward. I want to keep the win condition that is Blind Obedience in my hand. We could technically play out Blind Obedience as well and ignore any sort of draw utilities because we do have our commander out. And this could potentially stop any Dockside Extortionist plays or any fast mana off of Adnaz plays. This is the time where that should be happening. I still think that I want to get rid of Dig Through Time first though, and just aim for our One Ring off of the Gemstone Caverns. This is sort of the same situation as that land we were talking about that enters tapped. Having a land that only taps for generic really sucks. So we did try to avoid that, but even still, it's what we pulled. We're going to lose life, obviously, and we'll go down to play the One Ring. We have protection, so if someone's using a combat strategy, at least we're saved from that. If they're using something like a Walking Ballista and they just put a million on it, well, they can just hold and kill us anyways. So we're just going to have to suffer that. Sadly, there was no way to do that and still like maybe potentially draw our land for turn. Maybe we draw it now. Cool. Marsh Flats for next turn. Let's say we need to use an offer we can't refuse off turn. Oh, not with the activation. You could do Blind Obedience with the One Ring. You can't. You can't. When you also do, yeah, whenever you cast a spell, pay. I don't know what you're referring to, but I believe you. Tameshi enjoys the card so much. Skycloud Egg is an interesting one as well. Are these more like color fixing utilities, artifact utilities? Yeah. Oh, like these for this deck? That's so interesting. I'm good on them personally, but could maybe see why people would want to use them. Okay, we're in a really good spot here. So what we're going to do is draw 2 cards off the One Ring. This is just going to be used for that now. That's my One Ring counter. Draw 1, 2. That's amazing. I really wish I had the Gemstone Cavern still to just ditch to that Mox Diamond because I would much prefer that. We're going to cast Mox Opal. All right. Mind you, when we did the thing earlier, I keep forgetting to do this. We did get a pilot out of the draw 2 there. So do you see what I'm seeing? Do you see what I'm seeing? We have a Force of Negation. It's not good on turn, but we could potentially hard cast it here if we do the Polymorph. We have a Mox, yes, I did play the Mox Opal out. Again, we should have saved it, but we have a Mox Diamond as well that we can play into the Polymorph creature. I think we just shoot for the Polymorph creature here, which would be, oh my gosh, we did need, you know what? It needs to be, let's do this correctly. It needs to be this because we need the colored mana for the Polymorph. We're going to do this and this and this to Polymorph, ship it. If it succeeds, then we succeed. We're going to go ahead and search up, we'll do the Tidespout Tyrant this time. This is not how this card works, by the way. I'm just trying to expedite the process because I do not want to draw all those cards and figure that out. But basically, this is how it would work. Then shuffles all the other cards revealed this way into his or her library. So all of it will be reorganized anyways. It's not like we're cheating in that sense. I'm just trying to get to the creature. We illustrate Hullbreaker Horror. Let's illustrate Tidespout Tyrant. So it's 8 mana flying. Whenever you play a spell, return target permanent to its owner's hand. I'm going to cast Mox Opal now. I'm going to return Mana Crypt to my hand. Is that good? Cool. I'm going to tap this for a blue. I'm going to cast Mana Crypt. I'm going to put Mox Opal in my hand. Is that good? Tap this for 2 generic. And I'm going to do this between white and blue until I have infinite mana. Now I'm going to go ahead and draw my deck. And I'll do so after playing Blind Obedience. So actually, we don't even need to draw our deck. I'm sorry. We kept the win condition in our hand. That's amazing. So this is a turn 4 win technically, never mind the clock here. We did miss a land drop on this turn because we needed to play the Mox Diamond to give us the blue requisite for, I'm so wrong. We didn't even need the blue. I thought it was double blue for Polymorph. I'm sorry, can you see that? I thought it was double blue for Polymorph. Wow, we had a much easier time than I thought. Okay, let's end it here. My fiance is home. I got some things I need to do. What do you think? Is Shorikai good? Mind you, this is my first time piloting this, and this was our first draft of this deck. Thank you for all of your assistance, guys. Really, it helped. I like the Blind Obedience call. I agree with that. I think Jace Wielder of Mysteries is a great way to conclude the game. You can still do Nexus of Faith things. It's fine. I would rather we go, though, was we initially went for a creature value build, and we pivoted for the Polymorph because it just makes more sense for what the deck is trying to do. Like, you want to ultimately mulligan until you hit those hands with fast mana. And I mean mana positive rocks. 0 for 2, 0 for 1, 1 for 2, 1 for 3, 2 for 3. Bearing in mind that there are bars of entry to getting infinite mana out of your turn after you Proteus Staff, after you use your Polymorph. But when you get there, you didn't even have to cast your commander at that point because it's all, well, you need the pilot, right? Actually, you're not seeing the screen. You need the pilot to do it, right? So you did need to cast your commander, but that's the game plan to begin with anyway. So that's actually quite good. And if for some odd reason, someone Forbidden Orchards gives you a spirit, then you really wouldn't need to cast your commander. But the game plan is early ramp Shorikai, grind value. Use your counter interaction to stave off the board. I was playing particularly greedy because I just saw hands that were particularly greedy. And we got there, I think, turn 3, then turn 4 in between the 2 games, which is really quick. Because when you're operating with fast mana and manipulating Polymorph for 4 or Proteus Staff for what is virtually 3 once it's ready cast, right? Because the effect itself from Proteus Staff is only 3 CMC to do. Right, so it's 3 for 3, right? So you put it on the field and then you would go for the effect. You can get there very easily for little mana. Now, I was very fortunate that I had spells to cast into my battlefield to return the mana positive rocks. And they happen to be Mox Diamond in both cases. I forget how I manipulated it earlier. But it's good. This works. This really works. I need to refine this quite a bit. Again, it's my first time playing it, my first time piloting it, pun intended once again. It's really solid though. Shorikai is fantastic. I love this strategy. I love white already, so getting to incorporate a little bit of it, just a tinge, with all of the blue BS, let's be honest, all the stuff, complete BS, this works really well. I need to see if I have a transmute artifact lying around because I think I need it along with all of the other artifact tutors. Because if push comes to shove, your game plan can just revolve around manipulating the One Ring, your Voltaic keys, your Manifold keys in much the same way you would in, say, an Oswald or an Arkham Daxon to just draw Storm, just artifact Storm. That's always a plan. I think that this will be very good in a grindy match, and I think that this will be very good for turboing out its own wind. I like it a lot. This is really fun. Thank you for picking this, by the way. For all of you who stayed for the whole stream, if you elected this as the build for today, thank you for introducing this to me. I thoroughly enjoy this. Again, I want to make some revisions. Please let me know what you would tweak on the list. It is in the description. 8th MS Team's Shorikai division is in the description. So if you want to check it out, and let me know what you would switch out of this list. Definitely, I will weigh all of those suggestions. I will weigh all those suggestions and we can make those changes. But this never happens. Tapped Out thinks that this deck is 100% competitive. Do you see this? What? I've never made a deck that on the first try or just ever that Tapped Out considered 100% competitive. And I don't know what scale they're using. Is it the 3 islands? Is that what tipped them off? Just having 3 islands in the deck was enough? I don't know. This deck is so much freaking fun though. I think I'm going to enjoy playing this. I really need to organize a cart. I need to organize some trade-ins and I need to organize a cart. Let me tune to you guys though. This is he's the real deal though. I say he. It is the real deal. This machine piloted by freaking amazing looking pilot tokens, by the way, female pilot tokens. She is really amazing. I'm really beside myself here. I didn't think it would operate that well, but it's really not requiring much of you. You just need to play this thing and then have generic mana and do the thing. I've never played anything that's felt this broken from the command zone. Ever. Having played my friend's Blue Farms list and all the kind of bullshit that does exist, this feels really good in 2 colors. Right. Before I close this out, let's tune to you guys. You could do Blind Obedience. Yeah, we did. What was the intuition? What intuition pile you thought of? Jonathan, I didn't. But I just put it in there because it's another free tutor and we have the redundancy to make it work. Let me see here. I think it could be Polymorph, Savine's Reclamation, and Proteus Staff. Because I can use Savine's Reclamation to get Proteus Staff back out. And if you give me Polymorph, I have Polymorph. If you give me, I think the best option there is to just give me the Proteus Staff. Yeah. I mean, we just illustrated how Polymorph was grossly effective. Proteus Staff is going to be 3 into 2 in a blue, and it's 6 total. But I just do that off turn. I do that off turn and you give it to me, and then I do it at instant speed, technically, right? Hold up. And if I have an unwinding clock out, then I'm doing really well. We're eating really well. Proteus Staff is sorcery speed only. Okay. There's the intuition pile. 3 free tutors. There's probably more, but that's the one that I think you can pilot immediately for a win, right? So I think that's what I would do. Not with activation. Shorikai collapse. Yes. This list is gas. Carl, thank you. And thank you guys, honestly. Like there were a lot of really good suggestions there. So I'm really happy with how this came out. By the way, I still have Wart build based on your video. Enjoy it to this day. Lord Vashtas, thank you. I'm so happy to hear that. I really love that list. I was literally just talking about it the other day. I don't have it built still, but I own a lot of the cards I had hand painted for it. And I am always looking for ways to like slip in the, you know, Tinderwall and all those cards in my other list. So I'm glad to hear that. The last minute pivot works great. Collector Oof might be our biggest problem. Yes, I do think that we need to incorporate maybe a little bit more removal, and we can talk about how we do that. Do leave in the comments like the kind of removal spells you would want. I'll have to take a gander at what we have at our availability. Excuse me. Resculpt is in the list, by the way, for opposing one rings. In case you're wondering, the instant speed resculpt. I think exiling a target is actually really vital now, with the one ring being so prevalent. And when that thing hits 3 counters, it's already a menace. So I would rather be able to exile it, and as well as a creature. So that's really good for the collector oops as well. What would you say the power level is? 7? William Gary? Sure, I'd say it's a 7, and I think I could pilot it to a 10 with practice. I think that's, and I'll close this video out on that. So I would say Oswald Fiddlebender is like a 5. But then someone who's competent and has played it as much as I have could make it a 9. Close. I've reliably won a lot of games with it though, and I could say it's knowing the play lines and leveraging Oswald to the greatest extent. Going down to 5 cards when you have to. No, just knowing the ins and outs of the deck. And in the wrong hands, any good list can be very bad, right? I think that it's really the competency of the player, and that's comes with time, learning the list. It's not immediate. Like, I think that I could pilot this deck way better. I'm very excited to do so. So I think that any deck, the highest could probably get is maybe a 7, right? And I think you make up the other third. The other 30 points. You get what I'm saying. But yeah, I hope that helps. Guys, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave it a like. And definitely subscribe if you want to watch more of these live streams in the future. Feel free to share this with your Shorikai friends. I would love to hear their opinions on this list. I'm very serious about building this, so any and all opinions totally valid. But Tapped Out says it's 100% competitive, so I don't know how much we can change. At any rate, I'm going to head out, guys. I'll see you on a future episode. Let's see here. Well, that was fun. I need to drink water in just a second. But I'll see you guys. That was really good. Again, thank you for hanging out with me on this one. I really enjoyed this one. Oh, so good. Sure, good. I need to see what I